That's good. All right,
okay,
so
now can you repeat again, Jay, please?
Yeah, so for the Andromeda session, I had you on the schedule.
Right,
the
exactly.
question was whether or not Mozzie was on the schedule and if we were doing any recruitment commission work for today, because Mozzie's here.
Right.
So my understanding is that there is no recruitment commission scheduled right now and that Mozzie's just here at the wrong time. But maybe I'm mistaken. I'm asking you.
Actually, you know, I don't also understand. I think he might be thinking that recruitment commission is not too much active in the sessions, so might be possible he's here for to represent the recruitment commission, I think, for that or something. Mazzy, can you answer it?
Yeah, I was thinking to join Andromeda session because I was not working, and as being in recruitment commission team, so I tried to work in Andromeda too.
Yeah, but as per my understanding, Mazzy, I think you should be available in the global sessions like full moon, like quarter moon. Because if
I am available for that.
Jay, please.
Yeah, that's what. So the recruitment commission meets during Cobalt, and it would eventually be meeting in Dynamic, right? And then it would be meeting global sessions, which are you know, full moons, new moons, quarter moons, and that's you know, that's the recruitment commission. When the recruitment commission meets, it's like it does its own thing. So you want to schedule with your other comrades. Like you should be, your focus should be getting on the recruitment Skype or email, and emailing and communicating with each other to get a schedule so that everybody knows when they're supposed to be available in meeting. Easier said than done, but it's just like the recruitment commission doesn't just like, it's not like everyone just kind of randomly goes to whatever meetings they want. That's not the point of the recruitment commission. The recruitment commission is getting work done to do the work for the recruitment of the teams. Do you guys have a clear priority and goal? Okay, well, it sounds like you don't have a clear priority goal. But anyways, the point is that, I mean, unless there's a specific reason for Mozzie to be here for the recruitment commission, he should come during Cobalt when there are other people from the recruitment commission, as is scheduled and planned.
Yeah.
So Mozzie, you know, I think. And we'll see you in the Cobalt section, okay?
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank
you. And I mean, if the recruitment commission wants to schedule a time during, you know, Andromeda, like technically can do that if it wants to. But I mean, you don't. The whole thing we need to get away from is people just randomly showing up and not knowing what they're doing, and then just like wasting money, because we're wasting $9,000 of money, or at least $7,000, and it's just not working. You know what I mean? So if people want to work, they should put effort into coordinating and scheduling with their colleagues. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. All right? That make sense, Mozzie?
Yes. Yes, Jay.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Okay, guys. I will leave and I will join in Cobalt session.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Take care.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Steve. So since we're on the subject of attendance, Bina, I didn't have you on the schedule. Do you come to Andromeda sessions regularly?
Yeah, I think I've come like 4 times.
Okay. All right, so let's add you to the schedule, and then we'll move on. Does anyone? So I'm helping facilitate right now. Does anyone else want to help facilitate? Does anyone object to like asking Mozzie to leave? Because I mean, if the whole group wants Mozzie here, like that supersedes the policy and my interest. But it's like, you know, I just don't necessarily see how Mozzie being here is going to help. us?
No, we don't have any kind of objection, but I think his point was, what I understand from his, that he wants to represent the recruitment commission in every.
Yeah, but it's totally the opposite. The recruitment commission doesn't represent itself in every session. It's totally the opposite. The Andromeda needs to be represented to the recruitment commission, right? That it's totally opposite of that. It's not, the recruitment commission is not supposed to go represent itself in all the sessions. The recruitment commission is supposed to be a representation of the global core team and of the teams that need support, right? Not the other way around.
Right. So I think he was confused at that time.
Well, it's just perfectly fine. There's a lot of confusing things going on. That's why we're here to meet and like get some work done. So, and figure this all out. So let's go into our position. So does anyone want to help with the policy keeping? Steve's gonna help with facilitation. Good. Note taking, Jorge. Anyone else for note taking, timekeeping, task responsibility?
Can I have a dog, please?
Albina, what was that?
Can I have a dog?
Can somebody send the doc over, please?
The dog.
Yeah.
Got
it.
All right. Anyone else for any of the positions? We need someone for task responsibility master, and then there's other positions too.
Yes, answer is yes.
I see. Okay. All right. So just add your name if you wanna do something else.
No, it's taking Albina.
Albina, what?
No, it's taking. I'll help Jorge.
Great. Okay. Albina. So as part of the note taking, the note takers are supposed to do attendance, so we want to make sure we add that. Also, we can add in that check-in. We had Mazi. Cool. So let's move on. Oh man, it doesn't look like it works. Huh. I'm trying to update the template session as well. Oh no, the template session's updated. Huh. So I guess you just used a different template? Jorge? You just
I used the one from last week.
You just used the one from last
week. We're supposed to use the template voice session meeting notes now. It doesn't have last week's stuff in it. That's why we have the template. All right.
All right. So I can try to go back and forth and update it, but I don't know. We'll see. So why don't we just do the attendance now since it's not in the schedule? So just make sure everything is in the attendance. Does it all look good? Everyone in there? Asif? We have Asif? Asif?
Yeah, sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're missing someone still. Lucy.
Lucy. I think we're missing Lucy.
Okay, good. All right. So attendance check. So let's do our check-ins. And why not you, Steve? Why don't you go over the check-ins?
Certainly. Jorge, would you like to check in?
Sure, I'm ready to start the session. Hopefully we will get more organized after this session and some more punctual responsibilities to work on Andromedas. I'm feeling like a 5. Check.
Asif, would you like to check in?
Yes, well, I'm excited to be here in the Andromeda after 1 month. And I hope that the session will go great. I'm at 7 today.
Jay, would you like to check in?
Yeah. I'm doing okay. A little just overwhelmed with things, but hanging in there. And I'm probably like a 6.
Albina?
And excited to be here. Yeah. Check.
I'm also doing fine and glad to be in the session. I'm like 6.5.
I saw Lucy, but I think we lost her, so if you can check in, if you can reconnect. I am about a 6.5. I'm happy to be here. Let's get organized and get working. Check.
Great. All right. So now Lucy. All right. So let's see what's next. So next we do evaluations and prioritization. So we have 5 to 10 minutes of silence, and we can do our evaluation and prioritization spreadsheets. Any questions about that? Oh no, the internal team setup, it still says it's not shareable. That could be a problem.
Which one?
Okay, there we go. I fixed it. All right, so internal team setup now looks like it should be perfectly fine.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, you got here. Do you want to check in?
Yes. Hi. Hi, guys. And sorry for being late. My machine was so down, and also internet was down. But I'm glad it's now working for me. Thank you. I'm at 5.5. Can I have a dog? Thank you.
Lucy, we're doing evaluations and prioritization, so you know where we're at. All right?
Okay.
More questions on hold.
Okay, I'm finished with internal setup.
Say again, Asif?
I'm on current team goals priorities now. I'm on priorities now.
Okay.
I've finished internal team. Okay, so.
Is anyone timekeeping? How much time is that?
It's been 5 minutes for this topic.
Cool. Remember, you can add things at the bottom if there's something missing.
Thank you.
Whoever just heard Salmon series beat me to the punch.
No, I added that. Okay. So it says our #1 priorities for team setup is billing, invoice, and budgeting. And then #3 is investor relations, and then payroll. And then team goals and priorities.
Oh my God.
15 minutes for this evaluation now.
Cool. So unless someone needs some more time, let's move on and go into our topics, I believe. Let's double check here. So we did evaluation priorities, topic review. Okay. So what I have here is that #1 is billing and invoice. #2 is budgeting. #3 is investor relations. #4 is real-time running payroll. And #5 is goals and priorities. So do people like that? Do people feel like that's missing something? Are there other topics, desired outcomes, priorities? And we're about to find out what our top goals are for the week. So it says budgeting, nonprofit taxes, accounting, invoice. So are there any other desired outcomes? Steve, do you want to help us along here?
It's just what we need to do the GoFundMe page for the Saturn session. Well, at least where I can get the information for like the one-sheeters and stuff, so that I can, try to come up with some kind of GoFundMe page. Just where even if I can find the information that I need to do it, for video or whatever, the one pages that you said I know we have some of.
So that will be a primary topic.
Well, it goes under Saturn session, but I mean, we have the link to the Saturn doc. Do you have that?
Yeah, I do have that.
And I mean, that's all the information right there. So you could just use that. You could copy and paste the opening paragraph of the Saturn plan or something like that. I mean, it doesn't need to be particularly, amazing.
Okay.
So I don't think we need like a video.
All right.
I don't know. I mean, just be creative. All right, so we'll get to that. I don't know if we're going to get to that, but that's number 7. Saturday's and Thursday session number 7 on the primary topic. So we have a long ways to go.
Voice in the background.
Yeah, Albina, you got really bad echoing, Albina. You got to mute. Albina, can you mute? Thank you. All right, so the proposal for the topics is billing, invoice, budget, investor relations, and then payroll, and then we go into our team goals and priorities. So are there any objections to that, and is there any other desired outcomes anyone wants to address? All right, well, it doesn't sound like there's any objections. I would just add, for our desired outcomes, figure out how to move on from these, our current budget crisis and, address any issues if applicable. I mean, I know that something came up with Miguel yesterday, but he's not here, so I don't know exactly what to do about that. But I'm sure it'll come up if it's necessary. So shall we go into billing and invoice?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we have agreements on topics and priorities. Okay. So let's do some billing and invoice. So my goals here. So just so you guys remember, like at the beginning of each topic, we do a little check-in on what we want to accomplish here. So for me, it's basically like, what is the current invoice, the invoice tabulation outcome, issues and mistakes that could potentially increase the budget, and then basically the final budget. So I mean, basically our goal is to have a final budget, right? Desired outcome, clear final budget for Andromeda. So, I don't know, are there other things that we need for the billing invoice, or is that enough, or is there any question on the process of invoicing or anything like that that we need to go over?
I think we know how to do that by now.
Okay.
At least we're pretty good at it in Andromeda. The Andromeda team is pretty good at it.
Okay, cool. So we can link if needed, but I mean, I think we could all agree it was about, the invoice itself was about $2,500 or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. And I think it included Jorge, Miguel, and Steve, from my understanding.
Because last month, that's how it was, that's how it was done. So yes.
And it's for the 136 degree. So the invoice tabulation outcome is the important part. So let's go over that. And then we can see what to do. So here's the 136 global invoice tabulation. And I do think there are some mistakes. We'll go over the mistakes. So basically what this does is it takes, it doesn't clearly do it, but it takes the total amount of client work. And there should be a separate actual client work calculations. Oh my God, this is a mess. So I mean, eventually there should be like a clear just tab that's just like, here is the work, here's the budget, this is the work that was done, and this is the money that comes in. So that's missing still. So let's note that down. So issues and mistakes. So one is that there's no clear income based on work categories. So it needs to be unbusted income. So just to make sure people understand, like, you can't get paid for internal operations work until the money comes in from the client. Does everyone understand that, or should we review that?
I think I hope by now everyone understands it.
Okay, cool. So basically it's just saying, like, we can do as much internal operations work as we want on payroll and documentations and budgeting and invoice and relations and all that, and worker coordination and marketing websites. We can do endless, tens of thousands of dollars of work on that type of work. But if we don't bring a single dime in from our clients, there's no money to distribute. Right? You can't only work on internal operations. You got to also be working on the client to bring the money. So according to Joyce's calculations, this is the total amount of client money. It was about 1,259. And so what you end up with is a prorating and a division of the budget at that level. That's what Joyce came up with. So according to Joyce, there's $121 for Andromeda. For me, the biggest mistake that I can imagine on this, so currently it shows $121 for Andromeda. So for me, the biggest other mistake here is that it may have used $500 for Jorge entities instead of 1,000. So that's the only other thing. So, that could potentially be another like $250. But even if it was another $250, if we add $250, that would be, 300 and like $80.
71.
Yeah, so anyway.
In 5 minutes on this topic.
Cool. Thank you, Jorge. So let's see. We have 10 to 15 minutes on this, okay? So questions, concerns, like, I mean, does everyone agree that the final budget for Andromeda would be somewhere between $100 to $400?
So the total budget for Andromeda would be that?
As far as my calculations go.
The problem is when you have, a group that has a lot of people, and you have a group that has like 2 or 3 people working, it's kind of hard to bang out as much work, client work or otherwise, because you just don't have as many people working. It just is what it is.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
What is it?
If you have 5 people in an octane, and you have 5 people doing work, if you have
but then you have people. But then you have a 5 times bigger budget.
Yes, that's true also, yes.
And there's work line involved.
So
there's no client work on those. There's no income.
Yeah. I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure exactly how the budget breaks down when there was over $1,200 worth of billable income for the Andromedas, according to our according to the Andromeda invoice.
Well,
now that comes down to $121.
Yeah,
that's 10%. That's 10%.
Yeah. So maybe we should go over it all again. Maybe we should link the invoice, review the global tabulation, and like double check it. I mean, we have the time to do that right now if that's what we want to do.
If you click, on the 136 West tabulation spreadsheet, if you click on the Andromeda, and the invoice comes up.
Okay, cool.
And at the bottom, it has the totals.
All right, let's see. So Andromeda, here we go. Bam.
And if you go down to the bottom, line 81, it has the totals. Line 80.
Line 80. Okay, so $1,213. Okay, cool. So, and we have Jorge entities is 685, payroll, worker coordination, Innovated United Umbus. I'm not sure what Innovate United.
That was probably me working on nonprofit taxes.
So that would just be finances and taxes. Okay, so let's just note this here. So boom, boom, and we'll just change this to finances and taxes. Cool. So that's what we have. So let's go in over the Umbus clients. So Jorge entities should have been, I think it was $1,000 last month.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what we said we were going to do. Yes.
Okay. Then
and I don't think anyone else really worked on it.
Yeah. So, and then finances and taxes would be, I believe, $500. And then payroll, and then this. So this is client work. And then this is internal ops, worker coordination. So payroll, worker coordination. So these are basically, we don't know exactly how much money is going to be in these because it's dependent on the amount of work that was done in the client work. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. So we know that the client work is here. So this is the, Umbus income for client work. And then you have the work, the team client budget pools, right? Does everyone kind of understand this? So Jorge entities, so the max for Jorge entities would be like whatever, 500, or we can do that. Finances and taxes would be like 250. So between these two, the max is 500, 250, and then these ones would be unknown until we have it all broken down, right?
Right.
So this is max, but it's still a question mark. Okay, so where I think some of the mistakes come in is the first mistake that's not clear is simply that there is no, I just don't see any tabulation that's doing, like, do you see anywhere here that's calculating the total income? I just don't see anything.
Where, on the Andromedas?
No, for this is all global, right? I just don't get it. It's a lot going on here. Anyways, we'll get Joyce back eventually, but we shouldn't be counting on Joyce. This could, no. Client budget pulls from income. Not clear. Okay. So what I would do is I would make a new tab and say this would be our income. So this would be Umbus income, right? And then I would copy this one. I think this is basically what we're working with here, as far as I can tell.
I'm pretty sure that is. Yeah.
So here's the client. Here's the potential income.
Maybe one for series also. I don't know if we can make one for series or not.
Well, it was basically like Saturn/series. We had them together since we thought they would overlap. Okay, so that is basically, and then we're also saying that Jorge entities should be 1,000, right? So then if
websites and.
But that's all internal. That's all internal. That's internal operations.
Okay.
So these are our actual clients. Although all these are mainly internal clients, these are all our client work. This is money coming into Umbus.
All right.
Okay. Sweet. So then you would take,
Sorry, 10 minutes for this topic now.
Thanks. So we have 5 more minutes left. So you take total hours, and you would take total money, and then you would basically multiply it by, I don't know. I think it might be 2x, but it could be 3x. I don't know. But we'll have to figure that out. So that's the part that I'm not really going to be able to do, but let's just look at Jorge entities. So we have total hours, total money. So if we said that for Jorge entities, it was 51 hours and $685, my estimation would say it's $685. And if we just do a 2x on that, we're going to get over the $1,000. So my understanding, we work for $685. We bring in the full $1,000. Does everyone understand that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this would equal, how do we make this work here? So maybe we take this is equal to this divided by, oh, screw it. So anyways, we should have $1,000 from this budget. I know. So then taxes and finances.
I had a laugh.
Yeah, so taxes and finances, we just would need to look at everyone else. So let's just take a quick look at everyone else. So we know here we have $72. So then if we come over here, we go to taxes and finances. It's $73.47. Okay. So then you would go in here. You go to our actual Umbus income, and this should technically be the first tab if we're doing it correctly. And we would say, okay, we have $73 and whatever cents. We'll just say 74 bucks, and we're multiplying that by 2 or 3. I'm not totally sure on how that's going to work yet, but let's just say it's 200 bucks. Okay. All right. So then we have sponsorship. No. Is there anything else here? That's it, right? That's all the client income. So if that's all the client income we have, that's the maximum amount of money that we can be bringing in. So let's play around with it a little bit more just for fun. So it's not totally clear here where she gets these numbers and how this works. So we would need to look at the actual invoices. But, the question is, maybe there's 39 on J support, 73 on Jello. So let's just average up a little bit. So we could say that there's
115.
J support's like 50, Jello support maybe like 150, Ricola 0, Plasmo. I think there was something on Plasmo, wasn't there?
Nothing.
Nothing on Plasma?
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay, Saturn session. So let's put it like in, 150 on Saturn session or 200 on Saturn session. Okay, so 0 Saturn session, 200 sponsorship. Anything on sponsorship?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Zero.
All right. So this would give us our totals. So here you would have $100. Here you'd have $300, 0, 0, maybe 400 bucks. So this gives us a general estimation of the total money we brought in, which is about 1,500 bucks. That's what we were expecting, right? So now you take this and you divide it by 2. So this should give us $500 for Jorge entities, right? But actually it would be a little less than 500 because there's also the 5%. So if we do it exact, it'd be more like 475 or something like that. Okay, so taxes and finances would be the same thing. It'd be about 100 and, maybe it would be like 90 bucks. Okay.
Oh, it's 15 minutes on this topic now.
So let's just assume that Andromeda takes the majority of all that money. It would be like $500 from just the client work, right? And then the rest of the money, so if you take this would be like 20, this would be like 150, this would be like 100. You add all of that up, you subtract this and that, and you take another 5%. So let's say you have $700. You would take the $700 and you would divide that by all of the client of all the internal operations work. So the total budget for internal operations would be like $700. Does that make sense?
For the entire Andromeda?
No, for the entire global team. Right? So the total income that comes in is $1,600. Half of that is going towards the client work, and the other half is going to internal operations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So that would leave a little bit additional money for internal operations. You know, let's say you're dividing by, there's like 6, right? Divided by 6. So maybe you're gonna get another $50 or something like that. So I mean, basically, I would say maximum of $600 coming in from Andromeda, based on doing it correctly, and estimation on doing it correctly. So let's just estimate $500, $600. I don't know. I may have not done. Obviously, we didn't prorate and do all the detailed calculations for the internal operations, but there's not a lot to work with there. So I would say, you know, $500 to $600 with more detailed estimation. So are there any other questions on how I did that or what that means? Or does anyone want to actually do more work on that or care to do more on that? Or because that's like Joyce is the one who does that, but she's at the hospital with her husband and no one is really stepping up to help replace her role as the budget manager.
Jay, can you repeat that? How do you get?
I'm asking a couple questions. One, are there any questions regarding what we just went through as far as how the invoicing and global, you know, tabulation works? Secondly, is there anyone who's interested in stepping up to take on this extremely important work that determines the entire budget for the organization that Joyce used to do, but she needs to take care of her husband in the hospital right now? So if we wanted to support her, someone would step up to help. So those are the two questions.
If anybody's totally completely sure how to do this, and we have just seen, I can work with someone else. But I'm not going to take responsibility for something I don't know how to do.
Yeah, we understand that.
Be a reprocess.
Yeah, so we understand that, Jorge, that you don't like to take on things you don't completely know in every detail, but that's not a requirement for other people. Like, you don't need to know every single detail, but obviously, Jorge, you don't have to take it on. It's perfectly fine.
But if it is not done correctly,
nothing is ever done correctly. Like let's talk about that next week. Maybe that's one of the issues that needs to be coming up. You know, the concept.
Because I mean,
like,
we are wasting money by doing things 2, 3, 4, 5 times because we simply don't know how to do them, and then have to be corrected, and there's time and money, and then people ask for more money, and then we don't have much more money or more time to waste on that. So,
well, right now there's nobody but Joyce who's done it, so anybody who takes it on is going to have to figure out how to do it. It's, you know, with the exception of maybe Jay who's done it with her, I couldn't just take it. I mean, I'll do it if nobody else wants to do it, and I'll figure it out, but I don't know how to do it.
If it has to be figured out, well, anybody can figure it out, even I can figure it out, but
right.
It's not going to be like, I mean, my numbers and my calculations could be completely different from Steve's or from anyone. So
sure, but it's a budget. Budgets are not perfect by definition. But in the context of the general issue, it's just like for me the only wasted energy and time is doing something and not learning from it. You know, like as long as people are learning from it and moving it forward and getting better, and then most importantly sharing it with other people to train and organize it so that other people can learn it themselves. Like for me, it's like I could care less if Joyce does the budget. What I care is that Joyce creates a training video and actually documents and organizes it and does the responsibility organizing, so I can give Steve a link that you can go there and figure out how to do it. Like that's what matters. Like the actual work is actually secondary compared to documenting and organizing it to be able to teach others, right? That's always more important.
We're 5 minutes over the mic.
Okay.
15 minutes.
Anyways, so it's unless Steve or someone wants to step up to do it, it's just like, let's just move on because we're not getting
I'll
too
step
far
up
here.
to do it. That's fine.
Okay, so
If Steve, you need something, I could also help you out with that because
All right.
I said I was available.
cool. So is anyone?
But I want to know that the second calculation, we have the first tabulation and the second calculation that we have there. How is that done?
I didn't understand the question. The first and second,
We
what?
have the first tabulation spreadsheet that was done and you show us before this another second presentation that Joyce is sent. How did she come up with the new one?
I don't know how she came up with it.
Yeah, she need to
What
provide the
happened-
video. So
What happened with the first one? Because the first one was right when we did the right thing. And I don't understand coming up with the second one. That has like team like Zuri have $19 for the entire invoice. So I want to know exactly the calculation for the second tabulation invoice and the first one. What's happened?
So again, the only thing you need to understand is that the money has to come into the organization from the client work first, and then and only then does it get distributed into the various budgets for the internal operations. So as long as you understand that, the calculation is pretty straightforward. You know, I doubt Joyce did it correctly or whatever, but it's just like, it's all an estimation anyways. So I would estimate that based on Hori entities, Andromeda would have about $500, $500-600. Joyce estimated it was $100 to $400 or whatever. You know, that's, you know, and if we want to go through it in more detail, we can, but really I think that's a better time to do that during a buddy team, you know, or go through the process. But unless we're in disagreement on the numbers, then we should move on.
Numbers look right.
Well, so you said that this is an estimation, but you said that the budget for the whole Andromeda team would be $100 to $400.
No,
So that means that we. Go ahead. Sorry.
500 to 600.
It's over 600.
That was before estimation. My concern was just only how she calculated because we have the first verification for invoice. So after that, she come up with another invoice tabulation again. So maybe we want to know how those calculations come up, so that also it is gonna be easier for us if somebody is
well,
willing to work on it.
Let me.
It could have been a problem with the Jorge entities. She might have used the wrong figures for Jorge entities.
yeah, everywhere.
Concerned. Because the figures have changed. So
Here, let me-
it could have very well she just used the wrong figures for Jorge entities.
All right, well here, let me go through let me spend another 5 minutes and go through the process and this, like, see if that helps. Should I do that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so step 0 is that each super team creates their invoice. Any questions on step 0?
No questions.
Okay, step 1, you add you know, list the Umbus client income. So this is the actual money coming in from the client, right? From the client. So this is the total budget, right? That makes sense?
Right.
Okay, so step 2, you add up the total hours and money from all super teams for each budget category, right? Does everyone understand step 2?
Yes.
So then step 3 is going to be, you know, I guess you could also just add to step 2, you know, multiply the final number by, you know, our 2 to 3x. You know, I'm still not 100% sure how this works, whether it's supposed to be 2 or 3x. I think.
Because we've changed it multiple times.
Well, no, it's just that we haven't done this actual calculation. But either way, it should be fine. So then step 3 is you
divide.
Well, you don't necessarily compare the total potential client income from the total value of work completed. That make sense? So if $1,300 of Jorge entity's work was completed and the budget is 1,000, then you get the total budget, which would be equal to $1,000. Does that make sense? If it's less than, you don't get the whole thing, right? If the total potential income is equal to $500 and only $200 of work was done, you only get $200. That make sense? Are we on the same page here? Is that any questions?
Yes, we're on the same page.
That's okay. So then step 4 is then you do the percentage allocation for the internal operations budget pools and the actual client work budget pools, right? So this one is the potential client income, and this is the actual budget pool for the work done on the client based on the actual money that's brought in, right? Okay, let me copy and paste an example because Joyce does that very, very well. So it would be like this right here. This is it. Okay. I don't know. Let me delete this. So does this make sense? Yes. Does that make sense or what?
So you take the percentages that every team worked and divided the total pot? I didn't get that.
So then based on the money that comes in, right, the actual final money that comes in, not just the potential money, the actual work, you do the percentage allocation for the internal budget pools and the client work pools based on this breakdown. Right, so 44% goes towards internal operations, 44% goes towards client work, and then 6% goes to running umbus and 5% goes to the umbrella admin fees. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Those are fixed. Those are fixed percentages.
Yeah,
Yes.
This is the 3x. Right, this literally is the 3x calculations that we did. So what I'm not 100% sure of is how because the 3x calculations come into step 4. So I'm just trying to make sure I get the 3x calculations correct from step 2 because they're slightly different calculations. I would have to double and triple check all that, but generally speaking, it should all work out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the point is that we can't charge the client money for work that we didn't do, right? So for example, if we have a potential income source of, $1,000 from RICO law, and no one does any work on RICO law, right? Then there's no money that comes in from RICO law, right? It's like no work done on RICO law. Even if there was $1,000 in that budget, why would RICO law as a client want to pay us to do literally nothing?
And that's what I was trying to explain to you yesterday, Jorge, that about finding now that we're not doing, you're not doing Jorge entities to find clients that have budget pools that's all being tapped to do work in.
It's just like money sitting there and no one's doing the work. So, we can't just keep paying money to people to, to the whole organization to not do the work. Does that make sense?
Right. Are there videos for RICO LA so we can watch them and do the work that needs to be done?
No, but we could certainly make videos, and it's more of like management support and coordinating all the different types of work that needs to get done for it. But it's yeah, I mean, we could easily make videos for it. It's just like no one's ever worked on it, so we just never did anything.
Can you just give a brief? You just told about management stuff. Can you just elaborate this, please?
Well, I'm doing work with EXA for legal architecture, which is the LA, the legal architecture, and I probably have 10 to 20 responsibilities that I'm doing, so it's like, my income comes in from EXA and we're paying, the majority of the money to African Community Network. And so it's like people should help support all of that work, even though it's my work. It's like the work that I'm doing for EXA. So it's a lot more complicated than a lot of the other work that was being done before. But it still would be helpful if I didn't have to do it all by myself. Right? I mean, I'm paying thousands of dollars.
And he made a budget that he's going to pay to help with that work.
Yeah.
So
cool. So
it is top of the hour. I don't know if you want to take a break of a minute.
Yeah. So let's take a break, and I'd love to move on from this. Step 5, just to finalize this. Step 5 is very simple. Then you just tabulate each individual super team's invoice based on their internal ops and client work. And then step 6 would be prorating it. Prorate when there is more work done than the total budget. All right. So, and that's how you get the number. So does that sort of make sense? So let's take a break, and then we can come back, and hopefully we can move on to the budget.
Okay. 1 minute break or 2 minutes break? Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Cool. Break.
Okay, I'm back.
Are you in Canada yet?
No, I'm moving on 10th of this month.
Oh, okay. Just wondering.
Where are you moving?
For my wedding.
So, any other questions on the invoicing and billing before we go on to the budget?
I think
Are
we
we
got
going to use the existing database we already done, or we just create a new?
I'm confused. What?
Are we going to use the one already Joyce made the calculation on it, or we just need
or
a new one?
duplicate it? Use what Joyce did, or duplicate it. But I mean, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, what you did is pretty close to correct. I mean, it can't be that off. I don't know. Maybe it's off by a factor of 2 at most. But it seems like that the total actual client work that was done was about $1,500. Maybe at most it was $2,000, but we paid $9,000, so we're in the red by at least $7,000-8,000. Like the work is just not getting done. Like the work is not getting done. I don't know. So I would definitely use what Joyce did and update it, or duplicate it so we don't lose any information. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to check it because the Zuri looks really low. At $19, I mean. So I'll go through it again just to double check it.
Cool. I'm down to go through it with someone. It's perfectly fine to go through it with them. Yeah.
I think we need to
I'll go through that with Steve, because it is, if we don't get the budget, as you say, we will not be able to get how much money is divided for every single team. But it's still confusing, and if Steve, since he's the treasury manager as well, so he would have like a bigger idea of what I'm talking. So I can go through with that as well.
I'll do it.
I would like to.
It's not going to be it's not a matter of duplicating the work. It's not a matter of duplicating work. It's going through the invoices, making sure the numbers are correct, making sure she just didn't miss a number anywhere. It's not like it's, it'll take a day or so or a day and a half, and we can go through the whole thing again just to double check it, and then we'll know if it's right. So it's not going to get done at this meeting.
I will know the calculations that you would do, and there and henceforth I will be able to.
Well, okay. Well, we just went through with Jay, and I understand them, and I know where the video is, and the organization for it, the responsibility organization. I know she did the responsibility organizing. I remember when she did it, so I can find that and I can go through it, and that's not a problem.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And other thing I want to know, especially when billing, is leadership someone can bill also leadership? When, for example, we do the leadership for Cobalt, is the leadership billable?
No. What is
the leadership buddy team? No.
The leadership buddy team would be worker coordination, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I think that's just work. But okay.
Okay, does someone build that like Jello support?
No.
It's not Jello support.
It's not.
Then you need to go through this. This is what I think Joyce most building in their work. Doing leadership with like
Wait, but that's up to the individual octants to make sure that it's in their invoice. If it's not in your invoice, she doesn't go through every work report to see what you work. It has to be in your invoice.
No, Steve, I think we need to be concerned on what we bill also, because you cannot build leadership on Jello support. It is also our concern, because the more someone putting the hour, it's also affecting everyone. When we are going to prorating the hours for everyone, the budget for everyone on the spreadsheet,
Well, that's a matter. So that's a matter of going. So that's a matter of looking at the invoices and seeing what was billed for on the invoices. I'm going to do that when I go over it.
Yes.
So,
and the whole point of this is that it's not. This is the most important part, and the hardest part is coordinating between all the teams so that everyone knows what they're working on. You know, but overall, worker coordination. Worker coordination is just like there's so much worker coordination to do, and there's such a small budget for it. It's never going to, cover people's budgets. Like
just about every team does worker coordination, so no one team is going to get a whole lot of money from it because there's not a lot of money to get.
Yeah, and we can define what paid billable worker coordination is so that it's clear.
Right.
And we can go over that, but the point is that the focus should not be on dilly-dallying about a little money here and a little money there. The focus should be on the client work, and right now it's not. That's the problem, right? So like the invoices and the budgeting, all of that, it doesn't need to be exact. It just needs to make sense to a certain degree. And so if Zuri is not an agreement with the $19, then it needs to be reviewed and reconciled just like someone's pay would be reconciled. It's exactly the same process, right? Instead of paying an individual,
I will get on it tomorrow.
Yeah,
I will get on it tomorrow.
So I think that there's a whole nother process of reconciliation. Like this would be super team budget / invoice reconciliation, right?
I think you will go through for everyone, Steve, not only Zuri.
I'm going to go through all of them. But I'm going to start with Zuri because it's the one that stands out to me the most. And it's also the top of the list. So I'm going to start with Zuri and go down through all of them. And we know, and I hope you know that I do pretty meticulous work. If there's a problem there, I'll find it.
Okay, Steve, I'll be with you.
All right. Yes, we have. Actually, I can start with you tomorrow because we have a level 4 buddy team tomorrow.
Right.
Okay.
All right, and doing Hydra, we have a level 4 BT, so we can start working on that tomorrow. There we go. Gives us something good to work on tomorrow.
I just also have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is supporting which one really written supporting Jade? Because when we go through people work now, which is supporting Jade, and Billy, I don't know which work did they really support. Can we really know exactly the work?
So Jay's support is personal assistant work, right? And no one does anything. No one actually works and supports me. The only work that was even done was
no, we're talking about like making his dentist appointment. And,
yeah, exactly. Yes, Melinda helped me with my Medi-Cal. She spent a few hours with my Medi-Cal. That was pretty much it.
It's literally personal administrative assistant, not business. Personal administrative assistant for his personal needs because he's so busy working that Jay will forget about taking care of himself.
Yeah, it's like
Jay will forget about taking care of himself and worry about everybody else and running the business before he worries about making these doctor's appointments, picking up his medicine, doing his personal taxes. So the Jay support is helping Jay with his personal stuff.
It wouldn't. Personal taxes would not be included.
All right.
Other than that, yes, exactly.
I know the reason I'm asking because when I was doing the midweek check, I got most of the work for Razu, J support. Then some of the Abdul work, J support.
I will look at it.
Yeah, but what
the work for J support is so that
I think they're working on J's work report. That's why they're recording work support. So we want to understand: is your work report, J, when someone works there, is it supporting you in any way?
That might be general executive.
No, I mean I think it could be in between. I think that particular the work reporting it overlaps between personal and executive and Jello. Okay. So that may be overlap there, since technically it should be my work that I'm doing my work reporting, but I just get overwhelmed on it. So because I'm working too much. But as far as overall, if people spend endless hours in detail on the tabulation, it's the same thing with the payroll. If we have $2,000 of billed payroll,
I'm not going to spend endless hours on it. Trust me.
I'm just letting you guys know that it's not a perfect science in terms of detailing every single tabulation, every single invoice. I mean, generally we want to educate people for the next month for this month, we just want to move on. You know?
Right. All right, let's do just that. Way too long on this topic, guys. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to the budget.
Then if we are going, yes, it is good to move on. Then we are going to move on. Let's say then the one Joyce met, let's go on with that one. The next tabulation is going to be go deeper and deeper with double and double verification. We do the double verification. For this case, let's just leave it on that point. Then the next invoice, then Steve is going to do that with the rest of the members instead of, so that people can know exactly the budget they have from now.
Great. And just so you guys know, if you're doing invoice tabulation work, that work would be considered running UMBUS. Okay, and we have a budget for running UMBUS, and it's very important to understand that it's separate from, you know, any other thing, because it's like you're actually doing the work of UMBUS. Okay, got it?
Okay.
Right.
I have a question, but I will ask after the session, because I think we will move on the budget.
Yes. Does everyone agree to move on with it the way it is? Then next time we do the double verification. For the next tabulation, please.
Let's just move on. Let me get into it a little bit and see how close it is and see what's right before we make any decisions on what we're going to do next time.
I mean, for me, the only thing that's important for me in the invoice tabulation that doesn't change no matter what is that the total amount of work that was done was $1,500.
Right.
That's for me all that matters. For me, nothing else matters. It's like $1,500 of work was done. We paid $9,000, so there's a problem, right? So unless there's disagreement about that, which it doesn't sound like there is, I'm ready to move on and get to the budget.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. We move on with that one. Next week.
Move on. Next topic.
Budget.
I think we might have covered that in this, possibly.
Okay, so budget. So the main things here, like we have some background noise that we need to get. And what about Asif's question? I'm not totally excited about this idea that there's a question that's not even being documented. I don't know. Should we at least write down the question so that we can be prepared for it later? Or like what's up with that?
You can move on. I will write under invoice tabulation.
Okay.
Part I will write.
Thank you. All right. So budget. So what do we have here? So we basically need to address the Andromeda budget. We need to look at options. We have the global budget, and we have this new global budget proposal that we want to address. Are there any other budget items that should be considered?
I think that covers a must, yes.
Okay, cool. So let's start with the total. So let's say Andromeda has like $500, to $600. So in the current budget in income for Andromeda. So if we look at that, then we would say like, okay, well, current costs for Andromeda are about $2,500 if you include Steve, right? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So that gives us, so it'd be $1,950 in the red.
Well, we took off, at least for the moment, my $1,350.
But the problem with taking off, so like let's say if we took off, Steve, and I think we're talking more like $1,000, right? Then that needs change the invoice, and right now it doesn't. Right, so it's like as we get into more details here, when we actually start following the policies, it's like I'm perfectly fine removing Steve from the Andromeda budget, like we talked about last month, but right now in the invoice include Steve. Include Steve, Jorge, and Miguel. So if we remove Steve, the actual income to Andromeda needs to go down because currently all of Steve's value is in Andromeda. We can't remove Steve, but then leave all the value and then double dip for Steve. Does that make sense? That's what we did last month. So I thought it was fine for last month because we just needed to move on and we didn't want to get rid of Steve right away. But now it's like we need to start actually having correct numbers. You know, because we're getting closer and closer to actually functioning as an organization, right? So I'm fine removing Steve, but then we need to go back through the invoice and remove Steve from the invoice. Like the Andromeda can't bill for Steve and then Steve getting paid twice. That doesn't make any sense in an organizational budget. Can you guys hear me? Did I disappear? What's going on?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
We hear you.
Okay, so the question is, are we leaving Steve in? If we leave Steve in, then this is what I have. We have negative $1,950. Like, is that correct, or are we incorrect, or where are we at?
So my question is, what happened if you remove Steve from there?
So in my eyes, if we remove Steve, which is perfectly fine, but then it's not $550. We need to go back through the entire invoice, remove Steve from the invoice, calculate, tabulate, all based on Steve not being in the invoice, and then redo the whole amount of the income for Andromeda. Like it's not fair. We did this last month, and it's just simply not fair to the organization or anyone else to say like, oh, we're going to include Steve in all the value, but then we don't have to include Steve in the expenses. It's just a wrong calculation. Like there's no way to do that correctly. So I'm fine removing Steve, but then the income should remove Steve's value from the Andromeda income. Right?
Right.
So in my eyes, we just leave Steve in and we just move forward and figuring it all out and just understand it in the context of the actual values. Is there disagreement in that, or do we want to do something else, or what's going on? Like Steve included his work in the Andromeda invoice. That was Steve's choice to do. Miguel and Jorge obviously agreed to it, so that's the way it is. I mean, unless you guys don't want it that way, that's the way it is. So it just doesn't seem like an issue.
I mean,
to me.
the way I see it right now is like Steve was doing like the whole work, and he was supporting the whole Andromeda team, and Miguel and I are doing nothing. So
what do you mean Miguel and you are doing nothing?
Because you're keeping Steve there because he's the one who works with most clients and does most client work.
Well, no, we actually removed Steve from the Andromeda budget last month and put him in a totally separate budget. And I told Steve to do his own invoice, but it didn't happen. You guys all included Steve in the Andromeda invoice, so no other invoice was created. So we tried to remove Steve. It didn't happen. So Steve is back in. I don't know. It just seems pretty obvious to me. Maybe I'm missing something.
I think it's partly my fault, and I asked Joyce, and she didn't have a good answer either. When I said, now that I'm in the Americas, whatever we were calling it, where do I bill? And I think for some reason we just decided that I should keep billing with Andromeda since it's an Americas team, and I'm always working in Andromeda, and we didn't know where else to put my money. I think that's what the problem was.
Sure, that's perfectly fine.
Because my main buddy team is in Andromeda. I think we just for some reason figured to leave it in Andromeda because we didn't know what to do with it.
Sure, that's perfectly fine. So I thought we were going to agree on just doing your separate invoice for the New World team, but the point is that it doesn't matter where your main buddy team is or what team you're on, all that stuff. All that matters for me is that this is the correct calculation. That the calculation is $550 of income, $2,500 of costs, which is $1,950 in the red. It's either that's correct and we move on, or that's a problem and we need to address it.
It's a little less than 2,500, but yeah, that's about where it is. Yeah.
Well, what? Okay, so maybe it's 2,400.
What's your budget, Jorge?
All right, let's look at the budget. Yeah, so Andromeda
The
budget.
combined budgets from the people which is working right now is $2,200.
$2,200.
And I went down to 1,200. So that would probably make it possibly a little less.
2,050.
Okay, so
2,000.
1,000. So what I get is 1,650 in the red. I could do 2,200.
What's your budget, Jorge?
Still 450 and 400 for New York.
So that's 850 and 1,200. So it's 2,050, not 2,200.
Yes.
It's 2,050. So it's another 150, or so it's 1,500 in the red.
So what's the total again for the budget? The
It's
proposed budget?
2,050.
So the proposed budget is $2,050.
Right.
Alrighty. And this this includes like okay, so the proposed budget is one thing, but I think there's a difference between the proposed budget and the actual costs, right? We need to make sure that we're not just talking BS here, you know? So let me just double check it because I thought I had done some calculations on it, but I'm going to do it again just to make sure we're on the same page.
I mean, if you start including, bonuses and everything, then the whole numbers change.
And I think that that's what I had done. That my 2,500 was including the bonuses as far as the costs, right?
Yeah, that's probably close to the right, yeah.
So the proposed budget, this is the proposed base
Because up until this week, I had co-chair bonus every week, and, for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah. So we can
now I have no more co-chair bonus,
so we can double check this, but I think we are definitely in agreement for the proposed base budget is $1,500 in the red. I think that is correct. I would agree with that. Are we all in agreement on that?
And after our discussion the other day, we could actually probably bring it down to 1,300 if we, if we make it 1,000 even. But it's still way too far in the red.
I'm adding.
These are including bonuses, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there was also additional $200, sort of. Okay. So if we do 225 plus 250 plus 850 plus 200 plus 850 plus 285 plus 385 is $3,045. So I mean, I just think it's important to talk real numbers. Like I just, I mean, it's wonderful to talk in all these hypotheticals, but it's like, who cares, People need to understand what's going on because it's like not okay for people to just pull this I don't know what's going on card. I don't like that. Okay, so I calculate that it's $2,500 in the red on the costs and $1,500 in the red on the base budget.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I agree with on the cost because there is money in the bonuses budget that is separate from the You know, because a lot of my bonuses, co-chair bonuses, some separate money that shouldn't necessarily be considered in the red when you're paying your co-chair bonus.
Why?
Why
shouldn't the organization?
Wait. Why? You asked, is there a bonus budget? If there's no bonus budgets, then we shouldn't be paying bonuses. Period.
Sure.
But if there's a separate budget for bonuses, if we're not exceeding the bonus budget, and I don't know if we are or not. I don't know. We paid $3,000 in bonuses last month, but if we didn't pay $3,000 in bonuses, then you're not exceeding the bonus budget, and it shouldn't count as being in the red. If there's a budget for it that's not being spent, or that's being spent on that item, then it's not. Then the item is not in the red in any budgeting system that I've ever heard of. I'm not disagreeing that a lot of the stuff's in the red, but bonus money, if there's a bonus budget, and the money's been budgeted for it, then that's not red money.
Okay, so how about we just call it that it's in the orange? Okay, so for me, the point that I'm trying to make is not like the Andromeda budget; it's the whole global budget, and the idea that we have $1,500 coming in, and that's the budget. So anything like bonuses need to be included in the income. Like the income needs to include the bonuses at some level.
Plus, I didn't know where did you get the $150? No one has getting paid for the whole month, $850, nor Miguel and I.
Steve got paid that.
Okay, so that's the four of us.
That's three people. You, Miguel.
The other 200 is Miguel's extra 200.
Yeah.
That Miguel was paid.
Okay.
That's what the other 200 is.
But those extra 200 were not. I mean, it was not our mistake. It was just.
None of this is a mistake.
None of it's a mistake. There's no mistakes. Nobody's being blamed for doing anything wrong.
This is just correct numbers, right? This is just the cost of doing business. So there's no mistake here. This is all correct numbers. And
but the 200 were not supposed to be sent to Miguel.
Doesn't matter, but it was sent. It's the cost of doing business.
Miguel could have sent the money back in minutes. He chose not to because he wanted the money and he wants the advance, and that's his choice to do. So the money is spent. It's not just free money, right? It's actual money.
Okay.
Yeah. And as far as I can tell, it seems to me like the direction that is that he's going to be approved for $250. So I just think it needs to be included. So anyway, let's just say that's in the orange. $2,500 in the orange, $1,500 in the red. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. So I think that we kind of have a clear picture on the Andromeda budget. The next questions would be, what can fit in $500, $550? And then the other question would be options for moving forward. So
well, we've had this discussion already, you and I.
Yeah, so one option is paying Steve $1,000. Pay Steve $1,000.
Can you move a bit, please?
Yeah.
In my mind, that it should coincide with cutting $1,000 from somewhere else in the budget. So then the other option is paying Miguel or paying Jorge. Maybe one of Miguel or Jorge could fit in the Andromeda budget as a global worker. Other options could include, moving people to the Jello team. This most likely would include.
Which I said I can do. I mean, yeah.
Jello team. And then obviously other options would be cutting people, including cutting the whole Andromeda team, right?
I've been 15 minutes on this topic.
Well, so I don't know exactly the numbers on what can fit, but it seems like in my estimation, it would be either Jorge or Miguel, not both. I don't know. We might have to look into that. Maybe both. I don't know. Anyway, so, and this doesn't even include the fact that there's probably, this is before 30% public. Okay. Okay, so anyways, let's move on to other options for moving. Into. Are there any other options? Otherwise, let's move on to the global budget proposal. The global budget. Can anyone think of any other options?
So just to summarize, we have to, if we want to fit Miguel and me on the same budget, we have to lower our budgets again, our minimum budgets again.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you can lower your. Isn't everyone's budgets already as low as possible?
Yes, it is. But so we're forced now to keep going down on our budget again. So I guess we're gonna have to discuss it with Miguel and see if we can work for $200 a month.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. It's complicated, but I mean, the important thing that people need to understand is that I don't think this should be about individuals anymore. I think it's about the organization going, bankrupt and going belly up, or continuing to exist, right? So, currently we have $0 of client, income coming in, external client income. And we have $0 of just money coming in. There's nothing. There's $0. We have no clients. None. No external clients. Right. So that, for me, what that means is that there's no work to do.
That comes back to my usual argument of we're not trying to get more external clients either, but we're not going to have that argument again. So, that's because I don't think I would find to get external clients, and that would solve, at least small clients would solve some of the difficulty. Not all of it, but we can handle some small ones, but you don't think we can. So we're kind of, there's nothing else we can do at that point.
Well, my point is that by bringing on more clients, that's more work for me. It sounds like the purpose of bringing on more clients would be to get people paid, or, for example, to me to do more work to get people paid, as opposed to the mission of the organization, right? So that goes back to the concept of what is the mission of the organization? What is our focus on doing? Anybody can go get clients, and I'll even support and help people to go get clients as best I can, which is different than me taking the responsibility to get the clients myself.
Well, we have to continue that discussion that we started, and both Sif and I might want to be involved in that conversation also.
Yeah. So the options there. So options for additional income are more clients. Starting a new business has been discussed, which I'm perfectly down to help out with. And then also there's Canopy and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So, all of those are perfectly fine. Like, starting a new business no one's going to get paid to start a business, right? When you want to start a business, it's like the whole point of starting a business is that it doesn't have a budget, right? The new business is totally separate. It doesn't have a budget. It can't pay people to start itself. It's not possible unless there's an investment, right? So, are there other options in terms of additional income, or does that sound about right?
Grants, I don't know.
Yes.
Like I said, a GoFundMe page.
GoFundMe, yeah. Well, we have the Saturn in the series session. Yeah, that's definitely like GoFundMe for sure.
Right.
That is definitely a possibility, and we're going to be putting some effort into that, which is exciting. So who knows?
Yes,
maybe
we already spoke about that. Yes.
But so this is really the only one in the next month. So as far as I can see, the series and Saturn session is really the only thing that could potentially bring in money in the next month. Everything else is basically, 2 to 3 months out. And there's no guarantee the series of Saturn session is going to bring in money, but that's our situation as far as the money. But anyways, I don't think you run a business on potential.
No.
It's been 20 minutes on this topic now.
So, in my eyes, we shouldn't be running a business on potential money and creating a budget based on the funds that exist, right? And
agreed, 100%.
Yeah, just to give a perspective, because I like to do this, a perspective on the budget would be, $1,000 per octant times 8 octants times 12 months is $96,000 a year. So anything less than $96,000 is basically in the red. Less than 96,000 is in the red. We obviously do not have that much money. So in the context of the other budget, or the other proposal that we now have is we always have to put everything in the perspective of annual budgets now. It's now our new policy. So $2,050 is not $2,050. We need in our budget $25,000 to cover those costs, right? The Andromeda team wanting $2,050 is $25,000. Like that's the real cost of the current Andromeda team budget, right? To not think, because it's not just 1 month. It's 1 month plus another month plus the next month after that. Like it's expensive, It adds up really quick. So people need to understand the actual cost, which is $25,000 a year. That make sense? All right, so let's go ahead and look at some of these proposals, and then I think we can move on here. So the previous proposal that did pass, which we were just talking about, was this overall model. That basically as an organization, we're not in the business of making money. We are in the business of transforming and helping the world regardless of money. And we're also, need to cut the budgets when the organization isn't doing well. Like everybody just seems to want money for themselves, and they're not thinking about the organization and the network itself. Like somebody needs to be like, I'm willing to cut my budget. Like, and I want to make sure it's really clear. And I say this over and over again, like my expectation is that EXA is going to cut me in a month as well. I'm not expecting to get paid in a month, right? Because they basically said that their money's all running out. Bitcoin, Ether crashed for them as well, probably worse than us because we actually did our best to like stabilize our money, and they probably didn't because they fired us. So we would have stabilized all their money, but they fired us. So I don't think they did stabilize their money, right? And we stabilized our money as well as best as we could. It wasn't great, and I did it basically all by myself. But the point is that I most likely am going to get fired too. The moment I get fired, boom, I'm not going to get paid either. Because it's the money that I was bringing in to pay myself. So it's and I wouldn't want to get paid if I'm not bringing in money. I don't want to get paid. I literally feel it's immoral and unethical to want to get paid and not be producing results. I just wouldn't do it. That's just not my way that I do business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has been passed. I mean, if anyone has problems with this model for our business model, I think that we should discuss it, but that's what passed. So the other proposal is this proposal, and this proposal is technically to the management and the council and the ownership, right, of the organization. And the idea is that for the next month we would create an HR budget with a maximum of $4,250 base budget for all existing team members, plus $1,000 for new recruits, plus $3,000 bonus budget. And this would exclude the quantum team recruitment budget because the quantum team still has money left in the recruitment budget. They have about, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 left. So they have another month before this hits the fan for them. But all the rest of us don't.
I thought you were going to lower the bonus budget. Did we talk about that the other day?
I think the bonus budget should stay high. I mean, if people want to get work done, that sounds great to me.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's budget for hiring people, but we still have people within the organization, and the organization is good in head stuff, but getting new people.
Absolutely. Yes, we need
what's
new
the plan?
people.
People
We
who work
need.
for free or.
Oh, absolutely. We need to get volunteers. We need to get people who are willing to work regardless of the pay and the cost. That the majority of the work already works like that already. And then also the cost of, like, for example, the Jello team is pretty much the only people we've been recruiting. And it's like, it's like $500, $600 for like 10, 15 people, right? Whereas we're paying $9,000 for everybody else. Like, right? You know, and it's not that they like if they get more involved, their budgets go up, but they just haven't been very involved yet, right? They haven't been working much, you know. So they're not very expensive. But as a global organization, we can't ignore. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, why pay people in Colombia, you know, instead of paying people in the United States? It's the same issue, right? There's no difference. So the proposal is $4,250 for the base budget for existing members, $1,000 for the new recruits, and $3,000 for the bonus budget. And this would exclude the quantum team recruitment budget. And the goal would be to keep the actual payments under $5,000 next month. So if we can keep the payments under $5,000, I think we're going to be fine as an organization and a network. But if we keep just blowing $10,000 a month, you know, or more, it's just, we're going to collapse and fail. It's just not possible. I mean, we have no clients, we have no income, we have no money coming in, and there's just like, I don't know what else to do. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Like, why are we paying $10,000 a month to get $1,500 of work done? And we don't have any deadlines. There's no work to do. Like, we don't have. I mean, with tons of work, there's endless work to do, but it's not like we have to do it. And as far as I remember, it was very clear to everybody, you know, that if Bitcoin crashes and we lose our clients, that everything's temporary. It's all startup. That, you know, there's nothing we can do about it. And that's what happened. Bitcoin crashed, and we lost all our clients. So this is the proposal. And I think the total budget does come up to as much as $10,000, but our current overall budget before costs is equal to about $15,000 plus. And then our actual burn rate after cost is equal to about $9,000. And so the goal is to change that. So the new proposal would be to have a overall budget of $10,000 and a burn rate of less than 5,000 a month. And let's see what these numbers look like. So obviously this is going to be like $120,000 per year. And this would be about
60.
60. Okay.
Wow. What's so loud? Was it so loud or so low? Was you on the phone?
So my recommendation would be to do a full round, then vote, and then go ahead and wrap up and check out. I don't know. Or we can keep going. What do you? Does that sound good, everyone? Steve, what do you think? A full round?
That's fine.
Okay. So
30 minutes on this topic now.
cool. So let's start with some people who've been more quiet. We'll do a Steve, and then we do Albina, Lucy, Jorge, Steve, myself. So let's start with the C.
I'll go for yes and 7.
Okay, well, we're not necessarily voting here. We're talking about it. We're doing a full round so everyone can speak about what they feel about it. You're welcome to vote on the proposal. I mean, it is a proposal, but, you know, we want to have a discussion as well.
Well, I think the proposal which you have, proposal right now is quite, understandable. What my concern over it is, I will go with the Steve, but I will go opposite with Steve that we should increase the bonus budget. So the 3,000 is, I think, I don't know. I think 3,000 is sufficient for bonus budget. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, we're currently spending about $600 to $1,000 of our bonus budget.
Yeah, then it would be perfect, I think.
Yeah. Albina?
For me, I think it is a yes, and my concern is on bonus. Okay, it's my suggestion that we do away with bonus so that we have a constant budget, because most of the amount is just going to the bonus. But if we do away with the bonus and we have a reasonable amount of budget for our teams.
Okay, Lucy?
Yes, but my concern is, even though we are going to reduce our budget, do we have hope of getting external, maybe any income that can maybe bring us to stabilize us, not really stabilize, to have something next month? That's also another concern. Maybe we just need to make sure each one of us cut the budget. No, all of us has a problems of paying our house rent on all of this, but we need to understand, if there is no budget, every one of us need to cut with where we are, maybe 200, 300, we will just accept that. Then what next after that? We still have a problem. What's next?
Okay, Jorge?
Well, I would say I agree with Lucy. We all have our different problems, and I don't know. I was one of the first people who came into this organization, and if you're going under, well, I guess I'm going under with the organization, even if I receive nothing bad. But you have to understand that we all have to pay things. I don't live with my parents. I have to pay my rent. I have to pay stuff.
Can I add something?
There's no way to do something different. I'd keep looking for jobs, which is something I've been doing as well. I don't see another way around. The GoFundMe page, Steve proposed that 2 weeks ago, and what happened yet? And all the work that needs to be done and all the work that you take off your shoulders hasn't been properly explained, so people could take the responsibility and do it and leave some weight off your shoulders. But for me, it seems that you want to carry the work on your shoulders.
Hello, guys.
And keep the organization afloat. It's not I don't know. For me, it's not a way to do things. If I have to spend time and explain something to someone, to leave some weight off my shoulders and that hasn't happened. But I think we're going over. Let me check.
Jay, can I speak for a moment, please, for 2 minutes only?
Okay, but we also want to let Miguel check in. Can we let Miguel check in and then you can go to Steve, or do you want to go first?
Yes, sure. Miguel, please check in.
Hi. I didn't expect that you were on continue the meeting. I think that I was expecting to work on Cobalt, but okay. Ready to go. If help is needed, I'm here and I'm all ears.
Cool. Okay, good. Awesome. All right. Let's see.
Yeah, sorry if this my concern is not to have something in personal, but I have got question that why we are going for recruitment new people when we are on the tight budget, right? And what is the guarantee that we recruit new people and they will work as efficiently as the existing persons are working? Like we all are, like Jorge, most experienced person, Steve, most experienced, Albina, Lucy. I will not include myself, okay? Let me get aside. These people are, gems of the FQN, okay? And for one person, if he is coming in the community, it will take, might possible 4 to 5 to 6 months to reach at this level. Why we are focusing on the recruitment when we are on a very tight budget? And what's the guarantee? And what is the guarantee that the people who will come, they will work efficiently and they will work up to the mark as we are working as of now? I understand that we are on, a hard situation. I do understand. I totally agree with it. But, you can cut down the people. Okay, let's take a smaller team, up to 10 to 15 persons. Take them into the next level. Okay, for them, give them the responsibility. Not giving them, take them to have some work done, and might possibly you will figure out something. Rather than adding more people and increasing more, everyone's dream is to include it is is to enhance his or her business. Okay, but what if adding more people, more persons may not be that much applicable? I hope I'm clear in my point.
So does anyone else want to answer the question that Asif had? Or
I think that the answer, Asif, would be that they will be working for free, and if they get more involved, they would get paid. So I think that's the answer.
So where the money will come from to pay them? If, for example, you recruit these new people, then we don't have a budget. Where will you get the money to pay them?
Okay, well, the recruitment budgets are the recruitment budget. So, for example, we had a $5,000 recruitment budget for the local SFA team. Once that money is gone, it's gone.
Yes, I understand we have that money, but that money is going to be finished. So after that, what's next?
Then they all get cut out of the budget if there's no budget, right? So the same would be true with the Jello team, right? There's a Jello team budget, and then once it's gone, it's gone. So it's like, it's basically a couple months timeline to try to figure out how to stabilize the budgets and make everything functional and work. But overall, like when Asif is talking about the idea that, and this is an ongoing discussion. It's not just Asif, but it's the balance between efficiency and experience versus, getting new people and having systems and processes that aren't based on people. So it's like,
Sorry, I lost my hangout and just got reconnected.
Okay, cool. I guess the easiest thing for me to say in terms of it is that efficiency and experience can basically be dubbed for, non-accountability, like no accountability, and corruption. Like it's just opinion. I'm more experienced and better than you, and therefore I shouldn't be publicly accountable, and I shouldn't have to get anyone else in the public involved because I want the money for myself, and I want to get paid 10 times as much. Like that's basically no accountability and corruption. What's the difference? And obviously the difference would be the scale of money, but why shouldn't we hold ourselves accountable and give the public an opportunity to be involved? I think it's healthy to have new people and new energy, and that's actually how our system is based on. That if you never bring new people in, everybody just wants more and more money for themselves, which is literally the definition of corruption. So I don't know.
You said that you are bringing money, and we know that you have been paying from your pocket a lot of money for this organization. But if there are tasks that can be done by people, and we all understand what you're doing, if there are tasks that can be performed by 1, 2, or 3 members of this team that can alleviate some weight and that can bring money to the organization, not for people but for the organization,
right?
All right. Well, the number
that would be the number one thing to do, like help people explaining, or having someone who actually knows how to do things and pass the word on. Every single time we work on different teams, I work with Joyce and Lucy, and every single time we work with them, we pass some knowledge. We pass some knowledge that we may have on different subjects.
Yes, I do that. I do that as well.
Probably more than anyone else will do that.
I would agree. So in terms of just like being straightforward on the number one executive priority for me is the orange team. That's my number one top priority, is getting our executive team, getting our orange team set up, which still has not happened, but we're getting really, really close.
We have a bad echo. Can everybody mute? We have a really bad echo.
I think it's Albina. Albina, can you mute again?
Okay.
It's been 40 minutes on this topic.
Cool, thanks, Jorge. But obviously, it's a really important topic. So, I mean, for me, the number one priority to try to, deal with this crisis that we're in is the orange team. Getting the executive orange team going on. That's the name I'm using for it now, but it's no different than the beginning of January, whereas we basically need round the clock, constant, just like work on Canopy and everything. It's just like, for me, that's the number one priority. And I have no expectation that any one person can do that, but it's just like, we should all as a team prioritize that, unless you guys don't think it's a priority, and we should just not do that, do something else, So we're here to have a discussion and open collaboration about it. But I mean, let's just use Steve an example. We could pay Steve $1,500, and cut 4 or 5 people, or we could pay the other 4 or 5 people. I mean, it always has to be a hand-in-hand context, to compare Miguel or Jorge to paying for 3 or 4 other people. It's the same concept, it just needs to be, I just don't think we should be comparing it. I don't think that it's a valuable way to spend our time, to basically say that somebody else that wants to make $50 or $100 or $200 is preventing me making my $2,000 a month or my $1,500 a month. I just don't think that that is a rational argument. And I think that if we make it a rational argument, it's potentially corrupt. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. But anyways, I'd love to. But for me, my top priority would be to focus on the orange team, get that done as quickly as possible, and actually start getting functional and getting me focused on executive priorities. That for me would be the priority. But we rarely ever talk about that, and it's very difficult even to get to that point. So I agree with everything that Jorge is saying.
I think finally the Jello executive team, you have people, but a lot of us have given you schedules now, and myself included.
You did? I don't know if I've seen your schedule.
Oh, I certainly did. Monday night.
On which channel?
On Cobalt.
Cobalt Monday.
When I was working on Monday. I certainly did. If not, I'll find it again and put it on again tonight.
I'm looking for it.
But my actual schedule is not neither. I'm saying people have stepped up now and given you their schedules. So hopefully that system will work out, and that will stabilize and move forward Canopy and the executive requirements to stabilize everything. So we're just gonna have, we might have a bad few months, and we'll have to see what happens. Maybe we'll make a little money from SAT and Cirrus, which, to stabilize things a little bit. Maybe some other stuff will happen. Listen, maybe we'll get anything's possible. We'll get a phone call. We have $20,000. Fix us. Help us stabilize our money from exit. You don't know. Anything's possible. So let's just deal with what is, what we have now, and let's move forward from here, and we'll see what happens. Talking in hypotheticals isn't going to get anything accomplished at this point.
Yeah, but this isn't a hypothetical. I mean, us proposing a $4,250 base budget.
Right, that's what we're voting on now.
Is cutting our budget basically in half. So I mean, just basically to be brutally honest, it's just like, you know, we need new energy. We need people being involved in the organization all the time, and we need the public to be involved. There always has to be outreach and recruitment and new people involved, right? Like that. If we're a public organization and we are, you know, going to be accountable to the public, we can't just like fire the public. That for me, firing the public is just not an option, right?
No.
So in the context, because then we're like, it's the opposite. That's corruption, right? So the idea is the focus needs to be on, you know, just like if you're going to have, I mean, we just have to cut the budgets basically, you know.
Guys, the little bit of recruitment budget isn't gonna make that much of a difference. Yeah. Even if there was it's not that much of a difference. So why are we even worrying about the recruitment budget? It's not that much extra money.
No. Actually, you know, Jay, please don't take me wrong. I'm not against, you know, getting new recruits. I'm not against it. I'm just asking one point, that when we are in very tight budget, okay, then why we are recruiting more people? This was my point.
Because if a new person's willing to work for $50, $100, $200 a month, and you know, an old person wants $500,000, $2,000 a month, it's just there's just no compare. I don't know. I mean, it's just not. It's like the.
Well, I don't know if I agree with you 100% there, because you know, but the amount of time it might take you to train that new person to where they get even half as much work as the old person gets done might not make it as particularly cost effective either.
But it's not about the work.
I don't know if you're 100% right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't know if you're 100% right there either.
I'm not 100% right, but the point is that it's not about the work, right? For me, I'm saying that there is 100 times more work than we could ever hire people to do, right? If it's about the work, we would spend all our money doing all the work endlessly, and it would just be, who cares about the money? We're just going to spend as much money as we need to do to get the work done. But it's not about the work. We don't have to do the work. There is no work that we have to do. We can cut all the work. The work is irregardless, right? Like I spend more time dealing with all of the people than I do to actually focus on the work, right? The management of all of the people is
the work, is your work.
A whole bunch of work, right? So it's like I would have a ton more time to actually work on the taxes and do things on myself. Like we don't need to pay people $10,000 a month to do work that I could just do on my own. You know what I mean? It's like we don't have any work to do anymore because we lost all of our clients, you know? So it's like it doesn't make sense to pay that much money on doing all this work if it's not work that actually needs to get done. You know, it just doesn't make any sense, especially when it's going to drive us into the ground, you know, but we do need people, and, you know, and I know people don't value, but the original thing we hired everyone to do, which didn't happen, and we're trying to still make it happen, is the assistant work. You don't need to, like, the whole idea that everyone needs to know how to do everything, I think is a huge mistake and a huge incorrect context in the concept of what we need, which is executive assistants and administrative assistant work and personal assistant work and life support work. Like that type of work is in the idea of a virtual assistant work is very important, and it's just that's the hardest thing that we're not able to do somehow. It's just not happening. And that's what we originally hired everyone to do. So it's like the idea that a new person wouldn't be able to do that, I just disagree with.
Let's continue the vote right now.
But either way, it's like it doesn't. I don't think it really matters. For me, what matters is the idea that it's like the relationship to a couple hundred. Like we literally spent $500 to $600 on new recruits in the last month, compared to like $10,000 on existing.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. The amount of money for the new recruits isn't that big that anybody should be worrying about it.
It's not even 5% of the budget. You know,
$1,000 on new recruits, and for that you can get 5-6 people. There's nothing wrong with that.
So my priority would be is like, you know, let's just talk about Lucy for a second. Lucy is scheduling herself and interested in potentially working as much as like, you know, 50, 60 hours a week, or at least like 40, 50 hours a week, you know? And it's like, that's what's going to take to turn this organization around. So my focus is like not on the people, it's on the process. And if someone wants to step up and work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and turn this organization around, we should all be bending over backwards to support that person, not complaining about our own pay. That's what I think community is, and that's what I think leadership is. You know, so complaining about wanting to work less and making more money, and that, you know, people don't have time or whatever, and they want more, you know, support. And then you have Lucy, who's willing to put in, you know, bend over backwards and put in like, you know, 50 hours a week, and it's still not enough because our whole team is running in so many different directions. It's just kind of chaos to even get me and Lucy the time to work together is very difficult, you know, but she is stepping up. So it's like, we should be focusing on supporting Lucy. That's amazing. You know, that's awesome. That's what it's gonna take to help this world, you know, and help people across the world. You know, whether we pay someone $500 for a month or $1,000 a month is not going to be what's going to transform the world. Lucy is going to be the one who transforms the world. You know?
So what you're actually saying is that the only way we can do things is like showing here every single time you are available to work with you, even if there are 5 people interested in working with you. And it's against the policy to have 4 people working on the same body team.
No, what I'm saying is I just need one person to work with. That's what I've been saying since the beginning of January. I just need someone to sit down with me and deal with all the stabilization of the finances and get our shit together. Right? Like no one was in Cobalt. Cobalt was empty. Sonic is still pretty empty, but it's starting to have some people in it, which is exciting in the last couple of weeks. But the point is that there was no one to work with. Like the last thing I need is 10 people to work with, which is what Cobalt now is. Like Cobalt, literally like 10 people come every day, and we now redone the schedule, and we completely like people are not allowed to show up unless you're scheduled, right? That's our new policy, you know, because it's just chaos, right? So we have a schedule, people show up to their buddy teams that they're scheduled, and everything needs to be much more organized so that when we come to work during Cobalt, it's not chaos, you know? And then I just need one person to work with. I don't need 10 people to work with. I just need a buddy team. And that should be perfectly fine. It should, my involvement shouldn't be different than anyone else's involvement. The whole idea that I should have a different level of expectation from anyone else would be complete outrageousness and silliness. You know, it's like, as an organization, we just need someone who can work with me. Lucy's stepping up to the plate. She's the #1 executive Jello team member at this point, you know, which is great, you know, and the point is that's good for the entire organization, you know. Finding someone to work with me to deal with the things that need to be dealt with on that level, because it takes so much more involvement and engagement, is great for everybody. If it happened 2 months ago, we might have $1 million in the bank instead of going bankrupt. But the point is it's now just starting to happen, so we should support that. And the people who can't do it, it's really not that big of a deal, you know, and regardless of whether someone can do it or not, it doesn't change our budget situation. Our budget situation is just what it is regardless, and we just have to deal with that. And if we have to let people go, it sucks, but you know, everybody's on 2-week notice, except basically the top couple people in the, I think there's like 6 people or 7 people who are in the $1,000 budget, you know, that we can know that they can stay around for another month or so. But I mean, the idea that Lucy's willing to work for $2 an hour and Jorge wants $12 an hour, I mean, like, why is it even like an issue? You know what I mean? Like, I'm making my $3 an hour. That's great. And then, you know, Melinda wants her $20 an hour. I mean, it's a difference of like, you know, it's like 20 times different or something like that. It's just crazy. Like, we can't ignore that. We just can't. I don't know. Like, this is like I've never personally in my life made more than $12 an hour, $13 an hour. Like, let's say $13 an hour, the maximum I've ever made in my life, right? And now people are forcing me to pay them $19 an hour, $15 an hour, $20 an hour, even more,
because they're refusing to work for less than that. And it's like, I've never even made that much money in my life per hour, let alone making $12 an hour in Colombia. You know, and I think it's great and wonderful that you want to make that much money, but it's like, it's crazy. We don't have any clients. We don't have any income. It doesn't make any logical sense. You know? So, I mean, I don't know what else to say.
What I will say is that Asif, Jay, me, Lucy, and Albina all have to be back in 45 minutes.
All right, so we check out.
Let's finish the round of voting.
Oh, Steve, did you get a chance?
No, I did not. But let's get it. And you didn't either. I will vote yes. And since we've spoken everything out, I don't have to, you know, I think we're doing what we have to do, and, you know, hopefully it'll all work out for everybody. And just let's don't get too disheartened, and, you know, we're doing the best we can to save the organization and save, you know, and doing what we have to do. And just hope for the best. That's all.
Sorry, I know that you are being in meeting long time, but what is changing from this point forth? Because you just say the same thing that you are telling from January. And if you recall, George and I were trying to discuss with you how we can work together and how to help you. And that conversation never happened. There is 2 weeks that we didn't hear from you in Andromedas. And we were like what's going on? Because there is something that I don't understand about FQ, and you say there is no manager. Somebody is taking leadership. Somebody is telling us what to do. Because the last time, I remember in a Friday, I was going to work, and you say you cannot work because you don't have, because your responsibilities are not, because you don't have an immediate responsibility. And I was very pleased to hear that, because all the stuff that I was doing with George and with Steve was on day, not in fire. And I was trying to avoid that anything of those become fires in any certain moment. So I was like, and also it was a priority in the Andromeda's list, which is something that you always tell us to do before work. You have responsibility, organize it. So I'm just lost, because we do what are expected to do, and the results are not. And the results are negative. So that's very concerned, because if you want to change something, you need to change your way of approach the problem. I'm hearing exactly the same thing as January. When we have time, then I offer you some time of advising of one person. I say, okay, let's do you tell me just do the cryptocurrencies research. I do it. In one moment you say stop doing that. You just give us some priorities, and then without reason they end it. So
well,
for me, I would like to for me that will be responsibility organizing. Who is willing to work in these specific topics in these specific times? That's the first one. Okay, who is right now capable to do that? So I don't know, Steve, George, Asif will tell, yeah, I'm sure I'm available in this time, and I will do specific this, because if we are trying to float against this boat, we need a specific task to avoid the sinking. Which are those specific tasks? Are the same as 100 of responsibilities, or are just 5 or 3 that must be done? Because if you're going to attack 100 responsibilities or 1,000 responsibilities, there is no way to coming back. If you're going to try to float this, you need to be very specific in what to do and how to do so, because you are the head. you know all the strings in the FQN community. I just know a few ones. So if you had a plan, a specific plan to help and to change this, hey, I'm ready to help. I have something today, and I was okay. I know there is some situations between you and I, but that's nothing. That's something that we can address and we can resolve. Doing the policies, and I'm here to work. And what I'm hearing is you cannot work because you're not scheduled in the Cobalt session right now. So how I'm going to help if I'm not scheduled? And what is the schedule? What we are going to work for? What we are going to work on?
Cool. So let me go ahead and respond because I think there's some good things in there. First of all, I like the concept of expectations because I think that's a very important aspect of work in general. And you know, bottom line, I have extremely high expectations, and we don't meet them. You know, and that's perfectly fine. And like, it's very difficult to meet the types of expectations that I have, and it's like, whether you're capable of doing that as an individual, it doesn't matter. As a team, we have to meet the expectations as a team. It's probably impossible for any individual to do what the expectations that I have. But bottom line, it's like, you know, my expectation is that people will be willing and interested in working for free or very low money or doing whatever, because it's not about the money. It is about transforming and helping this world, right? The whole planet is falling apart. Like 90% of interspecies populations are like getting, you know, slaughtered. And it's like, you know, the oceans are getting degraded. The, you know, X number, you know, 70% of like the land is just being, you know, ripped apart and bulldozed. And like you have all the global warming issues and the global climate destabilization. I mean, it's on and on and on. Like we're in a decade of urgency here that potentially could end up in the next 50, 100 years. Like in our generation, billions of people could die because of simply a very small number of people across the world who want to take and rape and pillage the world for their own benefit, right? And that's my worldview. Some people might disagree and have a very different worldview, but it's like, then go work with a different group that has a different worldview. This is not the group for you, right? So it's like, you know, for me, it's not about the money at all. And if people are not willing to address the bigger situation of what's going on and do whatever we can do to solve this problem, then they're not meeting my expectation. Secondly, it's following the policies. The policies are what exist. We don't have managers, right? If there is a manager, it's because we have a problem, right? So we have a manager for payroll. We have a manager for payroll. Do we have a manager for anything else? I don't know. Sometimes we try to get client managers, but no one really steps up. But the point is that we have policies. We follow the policies because that's what we created. We agreed on the policies. We created them as organizations, and we all have to hold each other accountable to following them. There's no manager that's going to do it. There are no managers. It's like if people don't step up and actually figure it out and hold each other accountable, make it happen, no one else is going to do it for you, right? And the same thing is true with this planet, right? No one's going to tell us how to freaking save the planet or save our own relationship to it. The planet's probably going to be fine. Are we going to be on this planet in a couple thousand years? I don't know, right? But if we want to be, we better fucking follow the policies and change our attitude and relationship with the natural laws of this planet, because we are currently not following them, right? So, you know, basic systems would be like the voting forms, right? There's the HR board voting form. There's the full moon voting form. We have these policies, but they just don't happen week after week after week. No one does it. No one steps up. All the policies are there. All the systems are there. Anyone could just go do it. They just choose not to. And it's week after week after week after week, and the work doesn't get done, right? People do attempt and they do try to get it done, but then the follow through is the hard part, which is always the hard part, you know? And they expect the idea that someone would just magically be able to do it all on their own perfectly without ever asking a question, never working as a team. That's not teamwork. That's the opposite of teamwork, trying to do it all on your own and not work as a team. So there's very, very high expectations and we're not meeting them. You know, we need to do basic accounting as well. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but that's my response for now. As far as the scheduling goes, Make a schedule. Everyone should have a schedule. You want to work, that's fine. Tell us what your schedule is. We'll add it to the schedule, and then you show up at your schedule. You can't show up, you let us know. I mean, that's just basic professional work ethic.
Well, we had a schedule. I mean, I think we are the most constant people who have been working on the same schedule during the whole year, even from the last year. We gave our schedule so long ago that it hasn't even changed. We work on nights when we had, and I don't know how else to say it. And plus, we have been following the policies that we were discussed like 2 months ago, like filling up a lot of forms and doing the evaluation stuff, and it hasn't changed anything. I mean, when I'm on with our team, we rather, instead of having the main Andromeda station, we have a main Andromeda station for like less than an hour, get organized and start doing work. Because it's work. I mean, you get paid to do the work. I know that policies are policies and you have to follow them, but doing like filling up some forms and some spreadsheets with what you're doing or qualifying the work you're doing is not getting the job done. I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks like that, but I have been doing the evaluations. I have been doing the hyper check-ins on the body team, all the policy stuff that we have been doing during the teams, but it hasn't changed anything. It is not work. I mean, we don't get paid to do that. It's not work. It's not billable work as well. It's not work for the organization. I mean, I don't see how this is turning the way we are going right now. Fill in some forms or qualifying the organization that we have to do now.
If you could be specific,
more than what that we do.
If you could be specific, that would be good. I personally think if things have improved dramatically over the last month or two, and we're in much better shape than we were before. But I mean, if you could be specific, I mean, your example is like a hyper check-in. I mean, hyper check-ins can take 10, 15, 20 seconds. So I'm a little confused on your example of how.
When we go through the organization for the session, okay, we do the organization for the session, not 5 days a week, but let's say 3 days a week when we're changing subjects. Let's say 2, because we already know what we're working. We left some work from the day before, so we retake it and we finish it. We keep doing it, right? But I don't know how 20 or 20 minutes of preparation for that session is going to move us forward. I mean, we have spent those minutes. We have spent 20 minutes to do the setup for the session, and
let me take this one just real quickly. In general, I agree with you, all right. But the Andromeda team, which is just 2 or 3 people, is a bit different than something like Cobalt, where they have 10, 15 people coming, and they need to take that time to get everybody organized, so they don't know what's going on. We kind of pick up from the day before where we left off, especially when we were doing mostly our headies or anything that's continuous, like you did with value tracking. You knew what you had to do the next day. You knew what you and Nelly were going to do, or you, Nelly, and Miguel, or me and you and Nelly were going to do. We knew before we ended the day before what we were going to do the next day. But for the teams that have more people, that isn't necessarily so. The things that are put in place are put in place for the whole organization. And Jay has said we can customize them if we want to do within the Andromeda, and not do all of them because we're such a small team and had priorities. We just didn't do it, But because we don't need that doesn't mean that other teams don't need it. Because we're a very small, close-knit group of 2 or 3 people. Now we started having, 4 or 5 other people coming. And kind of, some days, on the days when Lucy, Albina, Jay, me, you, Miguel, Joyce, Asif, we have days where we have, like the old days, where everybody's, this 4 or 5, enough to fill up 4 hangouts in a drama. You need to do those things so you know what, at least the leadership buddy team, so you know what everyone's doing and what everybody's working on.
All right, so you're clear on that. And what I'm saying is that we are failing on having another Jay or another Steve that can lead another 2 or 3 people on work on things that can be specifically working for the organization. I mean, we cannot
rely on Jay to be here 24/7. He's gonna be only on a few hours working with specific people, because if we go to their budget team, he's gonna ask us, "Do you have something to do? Do you have some responsibility to do? Otherwise, you cannot be here." So it becomes like a race that you have to be first on the hangout, because if you're working with Jay, he knows the responsibilities that has to be taken on that specific day. So we don't have like another Steve, we don't have another Jay, so we can work with and start like pulling up this.
But like I told you yesterday, you can.
You told me go to a spreadsheet, find our responsibilities, and start doing it.
No, I said go look at what's billable, then go to the projects that's find the responsibility organizing for that specific responsibility and learn how to do it. Tell me which one it is, and we'll figure out how to do it. But to find somebody to tell you what responsibility you need to work on, nobody should have to do that. But there's a whole list of responsibilities. There's a whole global prioritization spreadsheet that says what responsibilities need to be worked on.
Right, and have you seen if they have the training videos, or at least the document for the steps? Not all of them have them. But a lot of we work to work on Ricola, right? Because it's a billable job as well, and it's not billable for us, for the whole company, right?
Have you ever asked a question about it?
There's nothing on that.
Have you ever asked a question about Ricola?
No. But I want to step in right there because
Can I finish
that? Must ask questions, but for my case, when I do, I receive a lot of comments in a very aggressive mode,
and more questions.
Why I want to ask questions, because ask question is, hey, I want to know, and I received like yesterday a very disturbing response of one simple question, and I say, why I want to ask questions again? If I'm going to receive that kind of treatment, especially when I'm interested. I'm going to say one thing: the guy who take that task didn't ask questions, and that's the result. I ask a question, and I get the yelling. So I say, hey, this guy, nothing is going to happen to him. And to me, I already got some situation with Jay, and I didn't do anything. So why I'm going to ask questions in this point? Of course I want to, but the real thing is I want to change the methodology in certain points in the organization. Yeah. Like for this, Steve told us go to the spreadsheet and take some and learn how to do on a specific task. Right now we are in crisis. We need someone who tell us what to do to get float, to get the boat again running. Yeah, what are those specific tasks?
So, as far as the crisis goes, the way to solve the crisis is cut the budget. The only way to not address the crisis is to not cut the budget, and then we will go bankrupt, right? If we cut the budget, there's no crisis, right? The solution to the crisis is cutting the budget. As far as the issues go, right, because I think that you're right about the issues, the most important thing is about working together as a team. And if people don't feel comfortable asking questions, that's a huge problem. It's a bigger problem than anything else. There's no bigger problem than that. So I would be perfectly fine spending another half an hour, and anyone who needs to check out can leave. But working with Miguel, he said that he had some issues about, I guess, communication with me. I don't know if you referenced anyone else, but we need specifics. If it's me, it's me. If it's what I said, we should go over what I said, and we should understand it, and we should improve upon the systems and policies and or the teamwork to be working as a team. But nothing's more important than that. That's what we're here to do during our main sessions.
Bro, agree. But also, what I really want to hear is what is the most specific work that must be done? Because I'm not talking about budget. I'm talking about George entities. I'm talking about Ricola. We need to get Ricola right now in these steps. We need to do George entities in the steps right now, and we need to end it.
We don't, because we don't have George entities as a client.
Just examples. It's just examples. It's just examples. You know, very specific points to do. Very specific points to do, and know who has the most experience on those, so we can learn as quick as we can, so we can help, you know, because that's the real issue. You're talking about money. I'm talking about ideas. That's a very big difference of approaching a problem. And also, Jay, we are living in a world that is changing very fast, but something is going to remain the same as long as the Stone Age. A person who has hunger cannot work. He's not going to work efficiently. You're looking for an ideal that is not doable right now. So I know that, Lucy, I'm going to say I'm very thankful because I know you are stepping up. You are doing a lot of stuff, but I know that you need to eat. And at some point, I don't know if you can replace this with another thing. You will tell us eventually, hey, sorry, I need to go. And we want to lose you. And that will be very, very, very hard for the organization. So why keep somebody? Nobody's going to work for free if they are hungry. That easy as that. You are not going to work for free if you're hungry, Jay.
But we're not saying that anyone has to work for free. No one has to work at all. That's the point. Is that everyone can just stop working if they and move on if it's not working for them, and that the organization needs to cut the budget. Anyone who wants to serve the organization on its most desperate need, it needs to step down and cut the amount of money that they're spending on the needs of the organization. That's the number one priority right now to address the crisis, right? So as far as, like, for me, what we need to do is follow the policies and focus on one issue at a time and one topic at a time. For me, the top priority is the teamwork and the communication, because you brought up a lot of things here about, that this general person and then these general concepts are all bad and bad, and it's really bad. Let's get into the specifics and let's solve the problem, because it's just very general and very contextual, and we need to actually get into it, understand what happened, review it, solve the problem, and it could take many sessions. So we might as well start right now and let everyone else check out who doesn't want to stay, and then just get focused, because and it's like I also hear from Jorge as well. It's like you guys bring up 5 different things and you want to suddenly get trained on everything, and not even just overall, but detailed steps on every single little thing. And there's like 5 of them, and we can only do one thing at a time. We can prioritize our one thing at a time, and we can do training on it. We trained today on how to do the tabulation. That's great. That's awesome.
Sorry, I'm going to be very specific. I'm not saying I want training in a lot of stuff. I want to help in a very specific task to help the organization to be running again.
Sure, but that might be you supporting other people.
Okay, just tell us what to do. Because there is a lot of tasks, a lot of responsibilities that you don't know what are the key ones right now. What are the key ones? What are the most important stuff that needs to be done right now?
When I say the most important thing to do is to cut the budget, why ignore that?
No, I'm hearing that, but
okay, I'm ready for it.
Cutting the budget is one thing, but keeping the organization running is not cutting the budget one time, another time, because it's going to not to be any budget at all. You understand?
The only thing that's going to not have any budget at all is if we don't cut the budget and we spend all the money. Then there will be no money. There will be no budget. That's how it works. It's the opposite. If we don't cut the budget, then there won't be any money.
Yeah. I see your point. Please try to see mine.
Well, you have a lot of points, so say it again.
Say it again.
I would like to focus on the issue, but we're not. We're not focusing on the issue. We're focusing on something else.
Okay. There's a lot of issues right now.
Well, we can only do one at a time. So my recommendation was to focus on the teamwork issue, and you're saying that you want to work on training, or am I missing something?
No, I want to work in the specific task to help this organization to continue.
Okay, but we can't do both of those at the same time. We have to choose one.
I'm saying one specific thing, that is that what are, apart besides of cutting the budget, the responsibility or task that will help FQN to move forward.
Okay, so we're not going to address the issue. So why don't we just review our priorities for the week, and then we'll check out, and then maybe we'll address the issues later. But, you know, I personally am not a fan and don't like the idea of bringing up a bunch of issues and then not addressing them, especially when supposedly it's about me and other people here, you know, and we don't have a chance to like actually address it. I don't think that's professional, and I don't think it is right. But let's go
let's schedule a body team for that. And
but this is the time to do it. This is
we
what
have
do
a lot of people here. We can do the other thing also.
I don't understand that last point. Do what other thing also?
We can schedule a body team of you and me, and whatever people wants to come to talk about the.
I would just say we do it. I would just say we do it next week during our session. Next week.
Okay, so it's scheduled, and then another thing is okay that you know, our body team the next week. Okay, and the other one is what is going to be the most important task besides cutting the budget to work on.
Okay, number one we have budgeting. Number two is nonprofit taxes. Number three is accounting. Number four is invoicing and billing. Number five is payroll setup. Number six is payroll. Number seven, Saturn series session. Number eight, investor relations. Number nine, more payroll.
Okay, I received this, but why this is important right now, and when I bring up in the line, you know,
we never got past number two.
Yeah, but in that time, when I bring this up, you say it was not relevant. Why is relevant now?
When you bring what up?
One Friday that you are not allowing me to work. And I bring this up, and
so
I say, hey, it's important to do this
2 weeks ago,
5 tasks.
Friday. Okay.
No, not important.
Okay, it was 2 weeks ago Friday, and what was it?
Because Friday isn't a scheduled buddy team, and he didn't have a specific responsibility to do for individual work.
But what was the work?
I don't remember. It was 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago. I don't remember.
Remember that we discussed with you, Steve, and also George, that I'm going to work on budgeting. And you say, no, you cannot work in that. Okay, I'm going to work in on all this stuff. That was priority number 2. And you tell me, no, you cannot work in that.
Because you said budget wasn't. You said budget wasn't due for 2 weeks, so it wasn't a priority. And something else he was working on, he said wasn't due right away, so it wasn't a priority. And he couldn't come up with another priority that he could do. So
exactly my point.
The point was that it
wasn't. You just tell me this is not a priority, but size that Andromeda projection spreadsheet was a priority. So that was like okay, what's going on?
Andromeda priorities are for regularly scheduled buddy teams, right? If you're not in a regularly scheduled buddy team, it's assigned self-driven responsibility, and it needs to be a priority for the organization. And so if you're working on like Andromeda, budget and not the global budget, and the Andromeda budget is basically due in 2 weeks, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
But that's one of the most important things that you're discussing right now is somebody is stepping up to do work, and because it's not a priority, according to you, not according with the spreadsheet, I was unable to work. You follow?
You have to understand the difference between scheduled buddy teams and individual approved work.
Yeah, but
you have to, let me finish. You have 2 level 4 scheduled buddy teams, and Jorge has 2 level 4 scheduled buddy teams. That covers you guys working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Actually, it should cover Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Of course, Thursday is
Miguel only has 1 level 4 scheduled buddy team.
Sorry, but
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That covers you working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So to work on Friday, you have to have individual, approved work to do, and at that point, you just didn't.
But Jay, tell us, please come to work, come to help us. We need people to come and help us. And I was stepping up, going to work, and the response was, you are not scheduled.
No, what I asked for was I asked for someone to step up to do 50 hours of work. There's a big difference between coming to 1 extra day a week and coming to 50 hours a week. And to confuse them is just ridiculously silly.
Oh no, but it's a sum. If you got 50 people working on a Friday doing specific work,
it's chaos, absolute chaos, and terrible crash and burn.
It's chaos if the people doesn't know what to work on.
And of course, they're not going to know. You can't bring 50 people to Fridays and have 1 hour for 50 people, and that's not going to be helpful. There's no way that's going to be helpful.
But how, if the work gets done, how is not going to be helpful?
If they can magically get all the work done, that's great. But if they have questions for me, it's not going to be helpful.
But I didn't have questions. I was organized with Steve and with George.
In the context of, like, first of all, people, in my mind, should not have the expectation of being able to work and make money.
But I'm talking about money. I'm talking about following the policies that in certain moments
under the policies,
in other moments are not.
Yeah, under the policies that we have, the expectation should not be that people have work. Like, the expectation should be like, you know, when you're scheduled there, that's your work, and when you're not scheduled, you don't have work. So it's just like, you know, the expectation is if you're not scheduled for some time, there shouldn't be the expectation of work. That doesn't make sense, right? So
but how I'm going to step up and how I'm going to help you if I'm not scheduled to work.
So the first thing to do is let's focus. Wait, okay, sorry. Your question is, how do you step up if you're not scheduled to work? The answer is that we can't just allow everybody just to work whenever they want to. It doesn't function. It's not professional. People create a schedule and then they show up when they're scheduled. Otherwise, they ask for permission to work. I mean, that seems totally rational. Why should people just randomly show up whenever they want to without communicating with the team?
But you know, my every single day I work in the same time. And in that particular Friday, I don't know why you tell me you cannot work. I never get a memo that you cannot work on Fridays. I never get a communication.
I just don't see the end to this discussion.
I'm here. That was very clear.
Wait, yeah. I agree with Steve. We already addressed this, but what we should focus is
we should focus next week. Priority goals for the week and checking out, because, like I said, most of us have a session in 15 minutes. And it would be nice to get a 5-minute break between sessions.
I mean, I think that anyone who wants to check out should be able to check out and just leave. I don't think they should have to wait at all. And I'm also perfectly fine for missing the first hour of Cobalt.
If anyone wants to check out on the back.
Oh, no, just check out right now with the whole group. Like, Steve, do you need to check out? Lucy, if you want to check out, just check out. Check out right now with the whole group.
Thank you guys for the session. I'm gonna be back in 15 minutes. Bye.
Okay, thanks, Lucy. Steve?
Me too.
I'm
gonna check out. I think I'm scheduled with a Buddington with you tonight, Jen. I think schedule. I'll be back in 15 minutes. It was a great session. We didn't get through a lot of items, and I really would like to prioritize what the goals are for this week, but I just don't see that happening in the next 10 minutes because everybody's discussing the same things. But it was a good session. We got a lot spoken about. We got a lot of air cleared. And let's take it from here and see what happens. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Does anyone else need to check out?
I'll try to eat some real quick.
All right.
Well, I don't know if everybody's checking out. We should at least schedule a session next week to work on Jay and Miguel. If as you wanted to have this session, we can have it next week if Jay is available. So he could probably explain something for the Andromeda team to work on specifics and have some work to do and not be left out of work on Fridays.
Yeah, that would be great. And Jay, there is a long time that I didn't see you on Andromeda's time. But
yeah, well, that's because the EXA meetings have all been a meeting of an overlapping. It's been kind of hectic, you know? And I've been trying to prioritize EXA because it's my only income, right? And it's a lot of our only income. The money that I'm making from my work with EXA is paying a lot of people right now, right? So and it's not sustainable, right? And that money might disappear too. I'm expected. I basically got a 1 month notice that in 1 month Eggs is running out of money, so I'm gonna get fired too because Bitcoin crashed, right? So it's like, you know, that's the way it is. So in the context of communicating as a team, I don't hear the expectation from you guys, because every time I hear it, it's like all about you and your work and your abilities and your money and you're this and you're that and you're everything, right? And it's just like, I understand where you're coming from and it's very normal, but like if I talk to Asif, it's not about Asif. It's about how do we support the team and how do we train and work with other people on the team and support our collective collaborative efforts, regardless of how it affects Asif, you know? And it's like maybe the best thing for the organization is for me to work with Lucy right now, because she wants to step up into the executive level and like do more higher level work, right? So I mean, what is the big problem with not working on Friday? Like why is it such a problem?
Because I want to work.
But that's my issue. It's about you.
FQN, and I want to help as much as I can.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is maybe the organization, it's like the organization gave everyone 2 weeks notice. Maybe you not working and you leaving the organization in 2 weeks is the best thing for the organization.
Why?
Because we have no money. We have $0 coming in. We have no client work. We are bleeding money, and it's just something has to change. We have to cut something.
But that's you know, if you review this conversation, I never speak about the money. The only who is speaking about money.
Of course you speak about the money. You want to work hours. Hours is money.
The organization again.
You want to get paid.
About money.
You're saying you don't want to get paid. I'm confused now.
No. I never say I don't want to get paid. I'm just asking that I want to work on Friday,
money.
And I want to help. And I'm hearing from you is money.
How can you consciously say that you don't want to work for the money, but when you work, you want to make money? It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, but I'm not saying any of that.
It's money. The organization can't let people work who want to make money more than it can afford. How can it do that? It can't just let whoever wants to, or like we can't say someone, oh, you want $21 an hour? Sure, you can work whenever you want. It's like, no, you want $21 an hour? You can work 3 days a week, like max. You know, that's that's like $100 a week for you. I don't care if you want to work 40 hours a week. You want $20 an hour. I'm sorry. You know, you can't do that.
I'm going to step in here because we're not reaching any point. I mean, if we want to change anything, that this is not, we're not changing anything right now in like 5 minutes. So my proposal would be like next week on Monday or Tuesday, if Jay is available, we can have a buddy team with him, right? And he can lead us through specific things that we can do so we can work on our own without supervision, right? And keep working for the organization, like lifting some weight off his shoulders. I don't know if you agree with this. We can address this even
sure, but so
that session, but this is no listeners anywhere.
Okay, well, I kind of agree with Jorge on the general concept. I disagree with the essence of it. So it's like, for me, if I say I don't need something lifted off my shoulders, and I certainly don't need to give detailed step-by-step directions, it's like there's a disagreement, and we need to figure out how to work together as a team, right? Where we can come to agreement. So for me, my response would be, this is the time, the Andromeda session, to prioritize the most important responsibilities and tasks and go through them. So it's like in the end of the session, you just get your next steps for next week. What do we want to do next week that you want to learn about? And let's spend a half an hour on it as a group and go in detail for every single step and all the different details. And then maybe after 2 or 3 weeks of doing that, you'll know how to do it forever, right? Regardless of whether or not, all the budget issues. But the point is that the question is, what is it that you want to prioritize? Like that has to be on you. You have to prioritize. You have to step up and say what you want to do.
What about finances? Something that we can work. We're good with numbers. We're good with spreadsheets.
Well, the answer is accounting. Accounting is the problem.
Right, but accounting is not something to say, okay, work on accounting, but how can we possibly know
we prioritize it for next week?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So next steps.
Does that sound good, Jorge, to prioritize accounting for next week?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we put next steps here. So next steps will be accounting. And specifically, there's a couple different types of accounting because we want to get into detailed responsibilities. So you have updating the bus accounting verification spreadsheet. So that is a specific responsibility that we can do training on, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So doing accounting and learning accounting is very important, and there's not enough people working on it, and we've got to get better at our accounting. Guess what accounting is the basis for?
Okay.
I suppose that there's a document or a video that we can check if we want to check this specific task, updating numbers accounting verification spreadsheet, because
there should be. I mean, we've created at least one, if not two videos on that. I don't know if they've ever been organized because you know how that goes. And so, I don't even know if there's a link, but Lucy might know. Send a message to Lucy. She might have an idea. But yeah. So one step at a time. At this point in time, we still have the budget crisis and it's still 2 weeks notice. But what I was trying to say about the accounting is that the foundation to all budgeting, which is our issue, is accounting. Without accounting, there is no budget, right? So accounting is very, very important. Okay. So let's check out Asif, Jorge, Miguel. You guys want to check out?
But we are going to have a scheduled body team for that.
We have a scheduled body team, Miguel. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But Thursday is Andromeda main session, so we can schedule that also for Friday if possible.
For me, it's
we are doing body teams after Andromeda. We are not taking the 2 hours to do Andromeda main session on Thursdays if there's work to do.
Sure, but for me, it's the opposite. The Andromeda main session is the priority, and the focus of the Andromeda main session for the next step is the accounting and the training for the accounting. That's where it's supposed to take place.
In Andromeda's next week?
Yeah, in the Andromeda main session next week.
Okay.
Like that's what this session is for, is to bring up all the priorities and what people have questions about and to help support the team to get the work done. Like that's what this session is for.
But sorry, I'm lost there. We are going to do training about finances in the Andromeda's main session from next week.
Definitely, that's exactly what the Andromeda main session is for: is to answer questions and get people the information they need to know, and to do video recordings on the steps for the work that needs to get done. That's exactly what the main session is for. For sure. It doesn't mean we can't also do that in buddy team sessions. I'm just saying that that's what it's for. Like that for me, the main session is extremely important. The only thing that you would cancel the main session for is if there was some other issue. Like for example, if everyone wanted to get paid instead of doing a main session, we could do payroll instead of the main session, or some other crisis or urgent deadline that needs to be addressed. But for me, there's nothing more important than the main session, because that's where we figure out how to work together as a team.
Right, but I don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't know why people saying that they come like most of the times to Andromeda sessions when they have been sessions that it's only been 3 people, even 2 people on the Andromeda session, and now we have 7 people working on Andromeda session. And I know that this is about the team, not only Andromeda but the whole teams, right? But I don't know why people are saying that they come to Andromeda session oftenly. It's just not true. I mean, you can check all the Andromeda's main sessions from here to 4 weeks back.
Well, that was Albina. I don't remember her either, but I think she's saying that she wants to come, and it's part of this whole executive thing that she wants to step into. But it's like, you know, I agree with you, but at the same time, it's just not worth our energy. You know what I mean? Like if someone wants to come to a Andromeda session, as long as they're following the policy, it's I don't have any problem with it.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. You know, but someone like Mozzie coming, it's like, you know, he has no reason to be here. He doesn't need to be here, right? So, and then in the future, people should be scheduled. Basically, the new policy is you're not scheduled to come during the session, then you ask for permission to come and to attend the session, which is perfectly fine. And then if people, you know, are invited, then that's fine. If they're not, they're not. So let's go ahead and check out, like, you know, trust me, I'm going to do everything I can to help people as much as possible. But at some point, we have to cut the budget to a reasonable, rational amount. Like, we just don't need to be spending so much money, you know? Yeah. But other than that, I'll do everything I can to try to figure out how to move everything forward and help people. But it's like, you know, running a business is extremely hard. Most businesses go under. You know, us making the money that we did, and with Bitcoin going up, up, and up, it's kind of like winning the lottery in some ways. I mean, it was total luck that what happened, and then Bitcoin crashed, and it's just like really sucky. And people should have stepped up a lot more. You know, I mean, literally, we were overseeing at least $1 million, at least over $1 million of money that was literally sitting there and just disappeared. Poof, gone.
Sorry, Jay, to say you this, but if you know the volatility of the asset is so high, you reserve at least 75% to do your stuff, and you trade the remaining 25%. Going 100% with that asset was a mistake of risk.
It's not even our money, dude. So like, we don't have any choice now. But the point is that
at least
I asked for help and no one came to help me, right? I asked for 50 hours of time scheduled between, you know, a couple people to just do the work, because the implementation was the problem, right? It was like we needed, you know, people to put in 10 hours a day, 5 days a week for 50 hours to deal with the $1 million. Like, you can't just like click a button and $1 million just perfectly, 75% is magically transferred. It's like a massive undertaking, and I shouldn't have had to do it alone. And it's really just not a big deal. Like, we just need to move on and accept the reality of the situation was that it just didn't work out, you know? And it's not the end of the world, but that is our current reality. And I think that, you know, the biggest problem is really just focusing on the individual, and it just doesn't help. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it has to be a team effort, and it needs to be about the team and supporting each other as a team, not as individuals.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Just what you said, but I'm seeing it.
When you talk in the opposite way. You talk about what you get and what you are going to learn and how you are going to schedule. And,
yeah. I'm just leaving for secondary hangout for leadership buddy team. Thank you.
Okay, did you want to check out at all, Asif?
Yes, I already checked out the.
You checked out. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, just what I was saying is I always hear what you want to learn and what you need, and it's just a lot. It's always focused on your needs as opposed to the needs of the team. If the needs of the team are the focus, everyone will get what they need eventually. Because we're here to work together as a team to address the issues and needs of the team. And the team is the global core team, right? Andromeda is not the team, ever. There's only one individual global core team. Andromeda is a sub-component of that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't know why you interpreted that from what I just said.
Because you guys are constantly talking about yourself, and not you want all this training and you want to magically know how to do everything perfectly, and it's just like that is good for you, and it's good for Jorge, it's good for Miguel, it's good for other people who have that same need as well, but it's not necessarily the best thing for the team.
Well, I don't know, but as a teacher, if I don't feel comfortable explaining something I'm not sure about to my students.
Sure, but is that better for the team or is that better for you?
But for both. How can I be teaching something that I might confuse them even more?
How can you make that decision yourself and ignore the ideas of the team?
But wait, I got a question. If an individual do a very good work, how that is go against the group?
Well, if the work was good for the team, then it was great. If it's not good for the team, then it doesn't good for the team.
No, sorry, but my question, I don't think you are answering my question. If I get, if I want to get the work done, and I ask questions about how to get the work done, and I'm talking about myself, and my work is in behalf of the whole organization, how that is bad for the organization? That I am concerned about how to do my job well.
Because if the organization needs to focus on something else besides just training you, then
no, not something else. The organization give me a specific task.
Let's talk about specifics then. Talk about a specific task.
Done. How that is bad.
Let's talk about a specific task.
No, I'm not talking about a specific task. I'm talking about the philosophy of the work.
That's exactly what I'm talking about right there. It's like the philosophy of the work is not applicable to the team.
How come?
Because it's applicable to you.
I'm just gonna give like a quick example, and I will check out because we're not getting anywhere here. I'm sorry, Miguel. I know what you mean, but we're not getting anywhere. So a specific example that benefited the whole team. When we were on charge of payroll, we kept bugging you to complete steps with you. It was on 146 or 136 degrees. I don't quite remember. Anyway, we were bugging you, and the payroll was done after 2 days. So within the 2 days that were supposed to be completed, and it was done. Everyone was happy. The whole team got paid, right? We did the whole verification with you. We did some part of the job on ourselves. It was well performed. It was done. That benefited the whole team, the whole global team, everybody, because they got paid on time. They didn't have to ask for things. There were not many mistakes on that payroll. There were no mistakes because you check that out afterwards with us, and it was done. So after that, when we say, I say personally, I say I'm not going to run payroll because I'm going to be the last one to get paid, even if everything is done correctly. I didn't do that. I stopped pushing that payroll. Because you said it's not about payroll. Payroll is not the most important thing. So I stopped doing that. We stopped doing that as a team. What happened? We got paid like 1.5 weeks after that. No one even cared. No one cared about that because we were the ones to point about that. So if you see that when we take like some tasks seriously and we want to do it, we do it responsibly. So it works. It gets on time. It gets on due time, like when it has to be done. So I don't know. I don't know if you understand, but you asked for a specific sample. I just gave it to you. When we were working with EXA, we were doing that as well. I don't know. So
that's exactly my point. That we are doing what expected from us. How is that bad?
And you say that we don't work, then we don't work with the other people. We work in team. We're not team workers. I mean, we work with Lucy. We work with Joyce. Joyce has worked with us perfectly. I mean, I have questions. I ask Joyce. She has questions. She asks me. So it's good because we were the three of us work. Even with Steve, we separated in two body teams. It's good. Miguel has worked with Lucy. So I know what you say. We don't work in team. That we were only for us and we were only between us. We have this schedule because Jay, I have to get like other 2 underpaid jobs just to pay for the rent, just to pay for services as well. So I have to get out of here, go to another meeting, go teach a class, and try to get some money to pay rent every single month. I know that you said that it's not about money, that it's about the organization. I've been here in this organization now for a year. And I'm really thankful. But
But it's like every single time I say or try to do something, it's like I don't know if you're trying to get people more involved or just work with some people just for us to say, okay, I'm done. I'm if this is for the sake of the organization, I'm out of here, so you can take whatever you pay me monthly and you can take it for the organization. I don't know if that's the answer you're expecting from me, the question, the answer you want from me, because it's really disappointing. I mean, there's so many things that some things are just falling through the cracks and we're doing nothing. And when we ask for more responsibilities that we don't know how to do, I don't feel comfortable like working with Joyce if I have like a ton of questions I cannot answer. So I have to go and bug you again and not letting you do the work that you're supposed to do and stop doing my work because I'm bugging you and just doing nothing. Just
okay. So let's. I mean, for me, this is great. I know you guys always say like, "Oh, we're not getting anything accomplished here." For me, we're definitely getting things accomplished because we're actually getting to address issues, right? And people are honoring that and giving us the space to do that, which is great. Sure, there's like 5 other budget teams going right now. So first things first, the number one, if we accomplish the number one priority every week, we would be in great shape, right? As a team, as a global core team. Do we do that? Absolutely not. We are just terrible at it. We completely fail, right? 2, even if individuals do really good work and do really great, the organization as a whole can still fail, right? There's nothing in the world that says like you as an individual could do the best work that you could ever possibly do and you're amazingly super, or your best work in the organization, the whole organization can still fail and you can still get fired, right? So, in my eyes, your guys' involvement and our relationship is like 95 whatever percent great. We're here arguing and having issues about the very small amount of the percentage is the issues. The vast majority of it is doing great. And I think that we have to focus on the issues because that's what prevents us from moving forward. But we have to utilize the 90% of everything that is good for our confidence and our empowerment and our engagement in the organization, right? If our engagement in the organization is based on the 2-3% of the problems, it's not going to be helpful for the team, So, if you're really good at payroll, the problem with payroll was that it was just simply too expensive, So if you're really good at payroll, my focus would be training. You should be training people to do payroll. If you're good at it, like that would be serving the team. You doing it on your own is not serving the team. You training other people to do payroll would be serving the team. That's my personal opinion. Additionally, for that, it's like if as an organization we can pay $1,000 for Andromeda to do the payroll and get it done in 2 days, that's really, really good. That's really wonderful. But if we can pay $200 to get the payroll done in a week, it's just not even a question. As far as the team goes and as far as the organization goes, it's perfectly fine to get payroll done in a week for $200 versus paying $1,000 to get the payroll done in 2 days.
I totally agree that, and I'm just gonna point something that you just said. It's not about doing it; it's about training people about how to do it as well, right? How am I gonna train someone if I don't know how to do accounting?
But we just talked about the example of the payroll.
Okay.
How many people have you trained to do payroll?
Like,
for example, we can call training for payroll at Andromeda's base, Andromeda session on Monday. Everyone who wants to assist is welcome.
Yes, that would be amazing. That would be awesome, right? Come to Andromeda or even Hydra or whatever on Monday and get trained on payroll. Everyone would love it. They'd be like,
but that's not priority right now, so not possibly done.
But who cares? It supports the team, and it's everybody wants to get paid. It's like it's not that it's not a priority. It just happens to be the number 6 priority, the number 5 and 6 priority. It's not the number 1 top priority. So as an organization, if we skip the top 4 priorities and we just do payroll, we're going to fail. The whole organization will fail, right? But if we get the number one, priority done each week, we're going to be okay. But we don't get the number one priority done each week.
Okay, I want to just cut here because I really need to get out and do some work, and I just want to say the last thing I want to say to Jay. Okay, Jay, thank you, because today you have been caught on one of your good days, and you will be able to talk with us about these things. You say that we're making we're moving forward. Okay, I agree 50% with you because we're not doing the things that we're supposed to do now. But I agree with you 50%. And Miguel, we're gonna have a talk this week, so we can be more organized and we can start working on accounting on our own, and we can take that responsibility together, right? I just checked out, and I'll be here tomorrow if we have some extra session scheduled with Steve, because we were supposed to discuss something about budget. But that will be me for today.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
I just checked out, and
yeah, awesome. Good.
No, thank you guys.
All right, talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jay. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Talk to you tomorrow. Okay.
Great.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. So yeah, I mean for tomorrow, obviously the number one priority would be budgeting, the number two priority would be nonprofit taxes, and then number three would be accounting, in my eyes. And this is just Andromeda team, so there's a whole nother level. On the executive level, for me, that is the top priority. If me and Lucy could get some time to work together, that would be great. But I mean, if what makes you guys happy is you guys want to work tomorrow, and for all we know, we're going to need to, give everyone 2 weeks notice, everyone's going to not be in the budget come next month. It's I really don't care that much. Let me just, to be honest to you, what I asked Steve after that whole episode with the, when we asked you not to work, my question to Steve was why didn't you have him just work with you on the taxes? Because Steve was there, he could have overseen and worked with you and did training on the taxes with you and Jorge. And he was like, well, we were to a point that we didn't need two more people. We didn't need two people on taxes. I only needed Jorge, and it was just that was Steve's decision. And it's that's fine too. It's just it was what it was. And it's just we, when there's limited people and limited resources, we can only do so much. So I apologize for it. I know it was difficult, but it's tomorrow should be the same thing. I mean, technically speaking, tomorrow people should only be working if they know what they're doing. If they don't know what they're doing, then it's not that big of a deal to not work. And if they want to learn if they want to learn, then the time to learn is the session here, to be here at the session, prioritize what you want to learn, like accounting, and then boom, you'll learn it and figure it out eventually. But either way, no matter how good you learn and how much you learn, if the whole organization fails, no matter how good that each individual is, if some of it's just luck, we have to cut the budget. Check. We can't ignore that.
No, it's perfectly fine, and if I'm willing to cut my budget if it's needed. There is no problem on that. But there is need to talk a lot, and also to have care with each other. That's very important, because yesterday I felt like I was treated like I was dumb, asking a question about a specific, a very specific point that I really need, because when I see the payroll, I was minus $50. I'm going to say, okay, this is a very big issue for me if this happened.
What do you mean you're minus $50?
In some point in the payroll, I see that was minus $50, and now it's not. But in that point, I was very, very concerned.
Okay, but we fixed it, right? We fixed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but also I want to move forward. Not only me, Monty's, Adam, the decision about the new budget and the old world and new world. I was expecting to finish that, to know what's going on.
Me too. Me too.
And when I ask about it, to treat me like that was a mistake of me to just to not to ask, because I ask, and the frustration of seeing that task not well done was very frustrating for you, and I take all that.
But for me, it's like the expectation, unfortunately. You know, like it's just like my experience is that I explain something to do and it just isn't usually done to the level that I would expect it to be done at. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but let's just go over this and understand it, because it's about the communication, you know. And I feel bad too, because it's like I wasn't trying to push it on you as if it was your fault at all. You know, for me, it was really just trying to address it as a team. So, you know, I would prefer to like actually go through it and see what we can understand and work out from it, you know?
Okay.
So do you have a minute to do that?
Yeah, of course. One of the things that I always take the things that are going to help me to learn, and how to resolve stuff is a very important.
Yeah, and as an individual writing on Skype, I mean, that's why Skype is a terrible place for dealing with issues. It's like when I write something on Skype, I don't know how it's received on the other side, you know? So like this is where a chance that we can actually go through it and understand, you know? Okay. So you say, hi, the HR board has voted in full, ? Right? So I hadn't seen anything, and it would be great if someone continues to carry it forward. You know, I'm not sure where it's at, but someone made the updated form, and then I'm not sure if it ever got sent out. So I just don't know whether or not the form was sent out. I didn't see it, and I didn't vote on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, in the form, I read that all 5 voted, but I don't see Heather. How can I get contact with her? So I said that you could email her. She's very busy, but I'm not too concerned about that. I just send me the link. If we have 6 votes, that should be enough. My expectation, and then I was thinking that I could vote, so I could be the 6th, right? My expectation is that if everyone approves these proposals, then it is 90% approved, and Heather can support our decision. And but Heather's focus on it, and what I'm going to ask Heather is not about these little proposals of individuals. She needs to understand and make decisions on the bigger issue of the budget, which is much more serious, right? So that's what I wrote here, is that, you know, we want to talk with her about the big budget. I don't think she's going to really be, as long as we all agree to it, she should be fine. And it's, you know, and so there's a probability that the direction things have been going right now, your proposal is at 250, Adams is at 350, and Monty's is at 430, and the probability that those don't get approved would be pretty low. But we should approve them, you know? So then you say, sure, here's the link. So then I looked at the link. So when I looked at the link is where the problems started. And I say, we will have to wait for the final vote tally, as I have not seen it. I just voted, but there seems to be a major problem. I asked who created the form. Did they duplicate it? Where's the old form with the options? And I said, I'm not sure if you guys understand the concept of round 1 and round 2 voting, and that might have been a bad comment. Do you have the link to the round 1 voting form? This is the round 2 after we narrowed the options. I was looking at the results, and there is nothing legible. We may have to redo it all, right? And just to make sure you understand what I'm saying here, since we're here together, if I come here and I vote, let's say I do test, and I vote for Monty's, I'll just do 5s on everything. Test. And then I click on the see previous responses. It says there's 19 responses, but the answers are coming out as multiple choice.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody changed the form.
So what it looks like to me is someone just didn't duplicate the form. So we have round 1 and round 2 on the same output. And so it's not legible. Like, it's just like you can't, there's no way to know what, I mean, we might be able to go into the actual spreadsheet and try to take apart the different votes and the numbers versus the amounts, et cetera, but it's just not legible. I don't know how to read this in terms of like knowing what the outcome is. Like I just don't know how people voted. Like typically you'd be able to see here exactly whether or not, you know, the vote is an 8 or a 9 or whether it's approved or not approved. Like you'd just be able to tell really quickly. But this is just like a big old globbly-glook of votes between 2 rounds, and it's just like, oh my God. So as far as like how that means moving forward, we might need to redo both rounds. You know, I don't know, or maybe we could try to delete the second round from the data. But the ideal, and the other thing that I wrote here was I put in basically I just wrote somewhere that the goal, because it's so important to understand the goal is to end up with, you know, the vote so that it's legible and that it's clear what the outcome was and that it's verifiable. That's the goal. Just a simple vote. You know, we could all assume generally what the result's going to be, but it should just, like at a professional level, we should just vote on it, be able to verify the outcome, and then just check it off. Like that's the goal.
I know, but the way that you put it, that somebody didn't do that, how somebody, what the word?
Well, the one thing that might be bad, as I said, I'm not sure you guys understand the concept of round 1 and round 2 voting, which might have been my bad that I didn't do the training good enough.
That was not the point. Let me find out. That was like I was just asking, and I received this.
Yeah, so for me, that's the most important part, is understanding how did I hit your button? Obviously, I hit your button, right? And if I don't know what I did, it's hard for me not to do it.
I destroyed the form. So the original form was destroyed. Is no longer a record on the vote and doesn't have any data needed to be considered a legitimate legal vote. You will never do round 1. That you was directed to me. I have no idea about this.
Okay,
matter.
So where is this again?
Well, I don't know. What is your time? 2 o'clock. Let me share my screen. One moment. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here you would never do round 1 of voting and round 2 of voting on the same form. Yeah.
So I take that.
Oh yeah, here it is. The most important goal of the HR board is a way to vote on the proposal and simply and easily, and then record the vote forever, so it's a legal decision. So we want to document the legal decision, right? That's super key. If the original form was destroyed, it is no longer a record of the vote and doesn't have the data needed to be considered a legitimate vote. You would never do round 1 of voting and round 2 of voting on the same form, right? So just generally, the you there was considered a you as in one, like someone should never do round 1 voting and round 2 voting on the same form. So that would automatically destroy all the information on the previous form.
Oh, exactly.
I don't know who did that.
But that the way that you write that was directed to me. And you said you will never do round 1. You, not the people or the implicated or the person who did that. To tell me, and just use common sense. Never destroy information ever. That's the opposite of what we are trying to do.
Yeah, so well, I mean, technically in English,
I feel like
technically in English, it would be like you would never want to do round 1 and round 2, right? So it's like you is more of like a reference point that a person in general, like it's like people, like you people, you know, and then general person wouldn't want to do that. So I wasn't intending it to be you personally. I don't even know who did the round 1 or round 2. I have no idea who did it. Did you do it?
No.
Yeah, so it wasn't even you who did it.
Me and Steve do a concept, and somebody do more work on it, and then they go live with that.
Yeah.
And later on, I didn't know what happened because I left the previous week with another incident that we have. I'm sorry. I was very happy to see the voting in that point, and I want to say everyone I was thankful for their support because it's needed to work to help to fix my computer, which is working now because of that money. I can have this conversation, and I left my emotions a little bit out of control. So that was very unexpected from you. You were very upset, so I decided just to stop working those days and let the steam go out. But regardless of that, I missed the line of my speech.
Cool.
Regardless of that, I want to work. I want to be here. I want to help.
Cool.
And the way that you talk to me in this specific matter, that I know is technicality, but I will try to do my best. But also in your side try to be a little bit more specific, because that hit me. That really hit me hard. Because when I try to ask questions, because when I try to learn a little bit more, I always get this kind of words, and I say, hey, I just want to help, and I want to know what's going on. And you know that a lot of people get desperate with us because we discuss issues in a very specific manner, so we can understand ourselves. A lot of people want just to do the job, and that's it. I understand the methodology is very important. And also these words are very important to me because the words the words have meaning. And my attitude, I hope, is a good attitude every single day in the work. And receive this was very difficult to me. Like I'm the guy who's taking the shots, and I am the guy who's trying to get the job done.
Cool. Well, I 100% agree with what you're saying. Like, and this is really great that we're going over this because I didn't understand what had happened either, and I was a little confused myself, but obviously, on some level it's miscommunication, but I also think that I made a mistake in terms of the words that I use. So when I said, you would never do round one or on the same round as round two, it wasn't referring to you personally. It was like you as in general, you when you're doing a round of voting. And so in that context, I shouldn't have used the word you because you misunderstood it. And so I should have put like, someone should never. I could put someone, would be more confused. So when you ask like, I didn't destroy anything, why are you implying that? The answer is no. You didn't destroy anything, and I wasn't trying to imply that. And so I didn't connect the dots there, and that was my mistake as well. So in general, when I talk about common sense, in general, people in general should use common sense when they're doing these things and just, make sure they're duplicating things and not deleting information. And then I asked you what you think we should do. And I also made it clear that I don't care if it was you or anyone else. Like, I don't care who did it. I wasn't actually saying that you yourself had done it because I don't know who did it, right? But all I care about is fixing it for the organization, because people make mistakes all the time, and I really personally am not worried about it. Like you and Jorge get very concerned about making mistakes,
of course,
which I think is actually a problem, because it's like it can actually make it so. I mean, Jorge doesn't want to do things because he's so worried about making mistakes. Like, how are you going to learn how to ride a bike if you don't fall? It's like you get on the bike, you get on the snowboard, you get on, you're learning to do something, and you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna fall, and it might even hurt, but you got to get back on and keep going. Like it's like the mistakes are like it's like becoming a good skater isn't not making mistakes. It's learning how to take the pain, because people who skateboard fall so often. It's just like the better skateboarder you are, the better you are at getting hurt. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and that's how you become an expert.
Exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But sometimes, what George and I think I'm going to speak behalf of him. We feel like we are doing our skating and we are doing well, and then in some part that we already know how to work, we get a stick. Somebody throws us a stick right in that part, and we fall, and we say, okay, this stick is here, so we are going to avoid them in the next round. And in this round is that stick and also another stick, and somebody's throwing a rock at us. So it's very complicated because we are always trying to figure out what other people do with the work that must be done, because that's something that we must discuss further.
Yes.
Because for you, the work is not important to get done, to get done correctly. And for George and I, it's very important to give a deliverable, and also a deliverable that is correct and is neat and is also in a good presentation, so we can move forward. Because always working in the same stuff every single week and never get it done, that's exactly the situation we are living. Because we are not getting anything done because there is a lot of people who is trying to do, but they don't know how to do so. But they put the rock or whatever it is in the path. And I think the most important thing is to get training before people start to do stuff. And regarding of that, that's why I ask questions, you know? Like I say, okay, we are updating the HR board into this point. We can move forward, and I quote when you say yes. And I was very concerned when you tell us that the work that we done was not correct. And I was, but why? We followed the policies, we followed the numbers, what was the bad stuff? And I have a copy of that document right here, because I said I'm going to save a copy if something happened, like top actual monthly total pay and hours tracking spreadsheet 2. That's the original one. And for me, that will be very important to discuss with you, because you have a lot in your shoulders, and what George and I and the people who is trying to help you is that taking that weight on you. You know, that really taking that weight of you, and that's and get the job done is doing exactly that. Not cool, but hey,
but we need to do
this, and you need to review it again. Oh man, what the hell? That's something that George and I don't like, to present something and again and again and again and again. Just doing it once and that's it, and move forward to the next stuff that need to get done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're all in the same boat to some extent. I mean, it sucks, the situation with EXA, you know. In my situation, it's like I do all these things and they come back as a client and they're like, no, you did it wrong. It needs to be redone. We want it like this. We want it like that. Or we want to change this, and they want to change that. And they're 10 times worse than I am. And it's like, I mean, in the end, what matters is working as a team. So it's for me, the only thing that needs to get done correctly is the top priority, but we don't even try, right? And then from there, it's like, you know, the first draft of something isn't necessarily supposed to be done correctly. And sometimes we want to get things done fast to just have them done by a certain time. It doesn't need to necessarily be perfect, you know? So there just needs to be balance. It's just about having balance between things being perfect, things being fast, things being good, things being like, you know, rough drafts. You know, it's just, it can't be the same tone and shade every single time. That's not healthy, right? There has to be a whole variety of possible outcomes, right? There isn't just output. There's initial output. There's, you know, principal output, and there's final output, right? There's multiple different shades of work based on the situation. If for every single situation we do the same work, right, of literally like, you know, top grade, you know, the best ever $10,000 per hour work, it's like it's not gonna function. You can't do that. You have to address the work based on the need. If the need is like, we have $100 budget and you and Jorge spend $1,000 on it, we just lost $900, right? If there's $100 budget for something, you do $100 of work. And that's the correct amount of work in the correct output, is to match the work with the budget.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about being the best work perfect every single time, because then it's not going to function. It needs to be in the context of the whole team, the whole situation, where we're prioritizing some things and we're not prioritizing other things. The other aspect of it would be, the teamwork. It's like you work on one step of it and then you move it on to the next level with the team, and sometimes there's someone there waiting and other times there's no one there waiting, but either way you got to split up the work based on the different steps. And I don't know, I think that's enough for now, but it's like, overall you guys are doing a really good job, and it's not necessarily that the problem isn't any individual. The problem is that, here's the other thing I was going to say, was that people don't understand the concept of assistants, like virtual assistant. The concept of a virtual assistant is supporting and assisting the work of the person that you're helping and working with, right? And that I just don't get from anyone. I'm trying to teach, Lucy and Albina and Joyce and some other people on it, and hopefully we'll get there. But it's like, if you were a virtual assistant right now, or you were an executive assistant, or you're an administrative assistant, the last couple hours have nothing to do about my priorities. It's all 100% focused on your priorities and what you want to do, which is perfectly fine and all, but it's just like, at some point we have to address the aspect of the assistant work, and there needs to be a balance between the assistant work and the self-directed director work.
But that's another topic, and if you have time, then maybe we can end up in the hour, because that's something that I really don't understand why it's so complicated to discuss with you when you are going to be available to work on a schedule and to get the thing done.
I mean, I'm available right now. If you want to talk more, I'm available all day tonight. I'll be available off and on as best as I can to do all this work. And there's 10 other people who want to work on different things as well. And the same thing happens tomorrow. I mean, it's like 10 hours a day. Every day I'm doing everything I possibly can to help the world be a better place, right? But at some point, somebody else needs to stop and be like, actually, you know what? It's not about me. It's about helping Jay. Like, what does Jay need? Let's actually figure out what Jay needs and support Jay. And if I say something that isn't particularly great for you, then you should still help me. But it's like, every time I say something that's not perfectly great for the other person, it's like suddenly anything for me goes out the window. Like if I say our top priority is the orange team and working with people who are willing to put in 40 to 50 hours a week to solve the crisis that we're going through, and the people who are interested in that is Lucy and other people, Lucy, possibly Albina, it's like there shouldn't be any problem with that, but it is a problem. Like, it's like you're upset that that's not you or something. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It's like there's all these priorities that.
It's as simple as help. If I can give 5 hours more, I felt like that those 5 hours are not enough, and they're
not enough. That's exactly my point. Is that they're not enough, and it's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter.
They add into the whole.
They don't. That's my point. Is that they don't.
How if I produce output, if I produce
fine, but that's for you. You can produce output and you can support the goals of the organization, and that's perfectly fine. You can put in extra hours, and you get back pay, and you get whatever you want. It's perfectly fine, and it is helpful for the organization, but it's not going to solve the crisis, and it's not going to address my needs. Do you see the difference?
Sorry, no.
I need someone to step up and we need to get the orange team set up, and the orange team is like literally 30 to 50 hours a week on top of what people are already doing. Okay, so it's like way above and beyond, and working with people at a very, very high level, right? That's what I need. So anything less than 30, 50 hours, say 40 hours a week on top of what people are doing, it's just not enough to do what I'm asking for, period. And if someone's not willing to accept that, and they want to continue for hours and hours and hours and hours pushing that, obviously that's not helping me. Like, arguing about what I need is not helpful for me. Does that make sense?
I asked Miguel.
What?
I asked Miguel.
Yeah, I'm asking you if you understand what I'm just saying. Like, you know, that like we've been going back and forth for like a month about this issue where you're like, oh, I'll put in an extra 5 hours. I'm like, that's not what I asked for. That's great that you want to put in an extra 5 hours, and you can do that if you want to, but that's not what I'm asking for, right? And so it's wonderful that you think that's what I'm asking for, but it's not. And I'm the one who chooses what I ask for, not you.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So that's an issue. Like it just doesn't line up to what I'm asking for, which is perfectly fine, because hopefully we can find other people who can step up into that level that I've been looking for since the beginning of January, and we're so close. Like, we're so close. I'm very excited about it. You know, I think that it could be very successful, and if it works, it'll benefit everybody, not just the people who are able to do that commitment level. You know.
Mm-hmm. But, okay, I got a question then. Why my 4 hours are not? I'm not understanding why my 4 hours are not valuable.
Well, it's just simply put, it's like if Lucy's willing to put in 50 hours, right, and do what I'm asking for, and you're only willing to put in 5 hours, why would I want to spend my 5 hours instead of working with Lucy to work with you, and then, you know, an hour later after I work with you for 2 hours, then there's no one there to work with me for the rest of the time? It's like, no, I want to work with Lucy because Lucy is willing to be there the whole time that I'm asking for, not just for 2 hours of the whole time. You know, so it's like by working with Lucy, we'll actually complete it, because it's so much work and we need to do a full, 5 hours instead of in one day, not 5 hours in 1 week. That's what we need. We need 5 hours in a day, not 5 hours in a week. So it's a factor of 7 difference. It's like, so by you giving me the time to work with Lucy, that is helping the organization. That's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to step back so that and support me to work with Lucy. That's what I'm asking for. Because it's very difficult. It's very difficult for me and Lucy to do anything when the whole organization isn't supporting us and everybody's pulling us away in all different directions. Me and Lucy can't work together. It takes a team. We have to work as a team for me and Lucy even be able to do work. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so easy and simple for us to get pulled away and get distracted and not be able to focus. Like, focusing is the hardest thing. Very, very difficult, So, anyways, hopefully that sort of makes sense. It sounds like you kind of got it. And it's not saying that your 5 hours isn't helpful. It's just not, 5 hours in a week is just not what we need. We need 5 hours a day, 5 hours extra a day, to really get to the level that we need. And we're doing it. We're finding the people. The Jello team is stepping up. People are interested. We now have an executive Jello team, with Lucy at the top of it. And she's the co-chair, and she's really interested and excited about stepping up. But we've only had like maybe 2 sessions, maybe 3 in the last 2 weeks, because we're just so busy. It's like right now, me and Lucy would love to do an executive session, and it's not going to happen because we need to focus on payroll. We need to focus on Saturn session. We need to focus on all these other things that are lower priority because other people want to prioritize them higher, which is fine. And then hopefully me and Lucy can work on the executive stuff later.
But why just tell, hey, we cannot work in that because this is right now is a very precarious situation. We cannot work in that specific subject right now. let's exchange all in another time. Why is not an answer?
Isn't that the answer? Basically, I'm asking you, if you want to do the executive Jella team for the orange team, you need to put in like 5 hours a day. We need like 40 hours, 50 hours, right? And the answer is you can't do that. And so then the answer is no, it's not possible. Right?
Sorry, I'm going to be more specific.
Okay.
Like somebody, like 3 of us, okay? Jay, we need to do payroll. Okay, payroll is a priority, but you can tell us, okay, I cannot do payroll right now because we have this issue that must be addressed right now. Why is not that an answer?
Because everybody wants to get paid. Like, we have to do the payroll.
No, yeah, I know, but it's not. I'm using another topic. Jay, please prioritize value tracking for EXA. And you can tell us right now it's not important value tracking for EXA because we are bankrupt and I need to do this and that.
Okay, well, I mean, I like, what I want people to do is I want people to step up and take responsibility for themselves. You know, that's my expectation. That's what I'm looking for. I don't really want to work with people who want me to tell them what to do. Like, that's just not, I'm not interested in that. You know, and whether that's harder, that's much, much harder to step up and actually take responsibility for yourself. So it's like, my expectation and my goal would be right now, I would want to focus on the most top priority thing possible to move the organization forward. Right now, the focus is Issue, Miguel, and Jay, and figuring out how to work and support you and help our communications. That's taking over, and is as far as I'm concerned for you, that is the #1 top priority right now for you. Right? And I'm honoring your space and your needs to support you as an individual worker in this space, because that's what you're prioritizing. But it's like, at some time, someone needs to take responsibility and prioritize what is best for the organization. That's how the organization is going to move forward. And that needs to be on you, not on me. You have to step up and you know, be like, what is the number? Like, how many times a week do you look at the global core team priorities? You know, how many times a week do you look at the overall essential priorities of the organization?
In Andromeda, I try to watch them every single day,
sure,
every single body team.
But that's
because
just Andromeda.
We are agreeing that policies, and that's
sure, but that's still just Andromeda, right? There's higher priorities than just the Andromeda priorities. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, but what I'm doing is correct. It's doing the responsibility organizing. Because the global ask for something, and then the teams start to execute it. Sure. And I was executed the Andromeda's priorities.
Cool. All right, that sounds fine. So then, are we good or what?
No, I think we are good. I accept your apologies. I will try to do my best to read a better English. I know the you in the verb to be. There is you and you in the we and they.
Yeah, so English is very confusing. I get confused on it all the time. But there's always a better way to phrase it, and I will do my best next time. You know, but there's more than enough work for you to work on, and you know a lot of the work as well. But it's like, we have to be able to communicate in a way that everything does. I just don't care how hurt you and Jorge are. I will never change my level of just being like, this isn't good enough for me. You know, it's just I don't care how people react to it. My expectation is that it's very high level work, and things need to be detailed and double checked and triple checked and quadruple checked and whatever it takes to get it done. And it's like, when I look at the, you know, HR ranking spreadsheet and it says that Jorge's jurisdiction is $600, I'm not going to be happy, you know? And it's like, whether you guys do it or assign it to someone else to, it's perfectly fine, but it's just not done. It's not completed. It's not correct.
Jurisdiction of George? The jurisdiction of George is $1,000.
Exactly. But when I looked at it, it said 600.
Can you show me that please, because that's a huge mistake because we didn't expect to do that. Maybe we need to
Hold
read.
on one sec. Let's see what's that. Yeah, I'm about to take a break. Okay. All right, I gotta get going here, but let me see here. So we are talking rankings. And HR hourly rankings. And so in the future, I mean, we do want to do our rankings per month, right? Especially if we're deleting and changing things that aren't verified. But let's see here. So I'm pretty sure I changed it. Oh, nice. No, it still says it. It still says the line 29, Jorge, and then it says right here $600.
But March 15. But that's from March 15.
It says
Let's
April
go
2nd.
more to the jurisdictional directly hour. Okay, that's the document. Okay, there's the 56. Let me check it, and I will address it, and I will give you a report about that because this has not made any sense. I think we didn't update that. No, the direct hourly is what we updated.
So maybe that's the problem, is that when you update the direct hourly and then you change the ranking on the direct hourly, maybe it changed the names. Yeah, that's how it works. So it's changing the names and the jurisdiction is changing based on the names changing because everything's changing. So that is the problem. So how do we fix that? So maybe we do have to put the jurisdiction in the direct hourly, but yeah, that's a pain in the butt.
Oh, because it's not formulated. It's formulated. So we need to update the jurisdictional also. The direct hourly is updated. We need to update the jurisdictional also. Because we only did the direct hourly.
I think we might just have to do it on the same. We might have to do it on the same one. Oh, look, you actually updated it here. I see. So you actually added it in here again. So we might have to just do it on the same form. And let's look here. So we have Jorge. Here's Jorge. 1,000. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah. So if we do it on the same form, that's K, right? So this is K, and we just take it like this. So then in that context, we may be able to just copy and paste right here and then do the jurisdictional one. So anyways, all right, I understand the problem now. We'll just have to figure out a different way to do it correctly.
Okay, no, and this is very important because we are doing the correct steps and we are definiting the thing so we can get an output and also take some weight from you. So yeah, it's already 59. Let's keep it there. And thank you very much. This was a very good session. I'm very happy to have a good communication with you and to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. All right. Well, let's chat some more soon. And yeah, just Skype tomorrow. We'll figure it out and one step at a time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jay. Have a good one.
Bye.
Okay.
Mm.